are. Thank you for doing this. It's nice to have you and see you back. I think we met at the Patrick Bet-David event 2 years ago.
We did. It was December of 23. It's
Yeah.
funny because I'm actually seeing the ads for the one this year. And I'm like,
Oh,
oh,
really?
should I go? Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Nice.
Thanks for having me.
What have you been up to since then?
Man, so much. 2024 was a year of looking inside and then figuring out, So let me take a step back. About 3.5, 4 years ago, I had a seizure out of nowhere, and I
Oh, no way.
went into panic attacks and anxiety and all that kind of stuff. So found a therapist. She likes to call herself a coach. I call her a therapist. Started working with her, and then what we do is every year we do, well, twice a year we do these intensives where we go away for 2 days. We just look at the year, look at the half of the year, and then come up with goals for the following year. So 2023, the goal for 2024 was I just want to live in the question and figure out what's next. And then for me, living in the question is not actually making a decision, for what I want to do and analyzing and not like living in not always needing to have an answer for everything. Instead, taking longer to really decide what I want to do for the next 5-10 years of my life. And so 2024, right after we met, was a year of just, let's live in the question. Let's figure out what's next. The company was doing okay. It wasn't doing great. It wasn't where I wanted it to be. And so I'm like, all right, I don't want to just kind of launch another campaign or do this division or whatever. I just want to kind of take a step back and let it be and see what comes up. And so what came up was studying Patrick Bet-David, hiring his executive team from PHP, and then helping us relaunch the company with a new model. So we did that in early 2025, and we've gone through a few pivots. 2025 has been a massive year for us in terms of new stuff, new launches. Right now we're going through 2 big launches, So it's been
So what does your company do?
So we help people start online businesses. We help 9-to-5ers first start a kind of a side hustle and then make it the main hustle. For the last 6 years, we've been focused on helping people start online businesses with Amazon. Just because 10 years ago I started as an Amazon seller.
Yeah.
About a month ago, we actually launched a new AI program where we help people become, we call it an AI business strategist, where they help small businesses become more efficient, more effective, increase revenue, and then they get paid for whatever they help implement.
And then so how do you do that?
How do I do which?
The new AI model to implement you're finding ways to implement AI in the business and the.
For sure. So what I've partnered up with an AI expert. Obviously, I'm not an AI expert. We leverage ChatGPT and stuff like that in our business, but I'm no means an expert. So what we do is we diagnose a business problem. So let me ask you a question. How many emails do you get a day?
Maybe 50.
Okay. What happens to those 50 emails?
I answer them.
How long does it take you to answer them?
A few hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
So per week, what would you say you spend on emails?
Maybe 5 hours.
Per week?
Yeah.
So that's 20 hours a month. How much do you think that's costing you to be answering emails versus having someone else or something else do it?
Well, of course, if you generate a lot and you find a way to automate it.
Right.
Okay, it save a lot of time.
So that's one solution that we teach our strategists to help businesses. I was talking to a cousin of mine who works for a big, 9-figure company, and it cost them $60,000 a year just to answer emails between 5 different divisions. You can install a simple AI automation that that answers emails based on whatever you want it to answer, whatever you want it to say, and then you train it and stuff like that. And you can charge $1,000, $2,000, $5,000. If a problem costs the business $60,000-$70,000 a year, they'll be more than happy to pay someone a couple $1,000s to come install it and maybe a few $100s a month to help them maintain it and so forth. And so that's essentially what we do. That's one issue, right? Let's say we help plumbers, create phone bots that answer the phone, maybe send them a text, hey, John is on a job, he'll be able to, he'll get back to you within an hour or something like that. Simple stuff like this, nothing revolutionary. We're not sending someone to the moon or anything like that. We teach our strategists how to do that, and then they just diagnose a business and then see what problems they have, and then they help them. So Yeah.
And then do you see a big improvement in the numbers for those business?
Oh, 100%, man. I mean, just imagine your case, for example. You know, imagine if someone can take the 5 to 10 hours a week off your table here and have something else do it for you. Now you've got an extra 5, 10 hours a week that you can take and implement in something else, whether if it's doing, improving your podcast or your business or spending time with your wife or whatever else, you know what I mean?
But how? So okay. So but then, say the email that I have, it's, it's not just maybe inquiries about my product. Sometimes it's specifically
Sure.
question about deals or about because I sell commercial real estate. So
Yep.
is it do you see it more on the generic side that it's nice, or you can dial down and have it answer automatically very specific?
Yeah, you could make it as specific or generic as you want it to be. It'll do whatever you want it to do. So let's say it's like, okay, I'm going to analyze the last week emails that I got. Okay, so they fit in these 5 categories. One category is, it builds a pipeline for my real estate, a brokerage. One pipeline is like friends and family or something like that. One pipeline is like just spammers and whatever. So it's like when you get people here, send them here. When you get people here, send them here. When you get people here that answer this question, answer these 3 things. You can also have it say, hey, don't send an email. Make it a draft so that way I want to review it just to make sure that, okay, your answer is perfect, press send. So it's like instead of you opening it, reading it, responding, you already did all that, you just review, press send. You know what I mean? And that maybe doesn't save you 5 hours, but it saves you 4.5 hours. You know what I mean? You spend 30 minutes per week instead of spending 5 hours. But again, that's one simple solution. There are like dozens of different things that small businesses struggle with on a daily basis that these strategies that we're teaching can help these businesses with and earn, thousands of dollars per project. Yep.
And then, so what's different? So before you were focusing more on the Amazon sales, and now you're moving into different type of business, different type of SaaS business, or just
Yeah, so not moving, adding on. So
Okay.
the vision from day one for our company, BJK University, is to impact people's lives through empowering families with skills they can turn into income. That's our mission from day one. And so the one skill that we've been teaching people how to, leverage has been building Amazon businesses. Why? 10 years ago, I started as an Amazon seller. I believe in it. I still have an Amazon store that generates multiple 7 figures a year. So that's what we've been doing. But the goal from day one was to provide people different skills that they can leverage to make money online. And over the last year and a half, that's why I said 2024 was like, take a step back, reflect, what's next?
Yeah.
And for us, it was like, all right, I think we're ready to start introducing new skills. Because for the first 5 years, it was just one thing. And it was like, all right, well, we're ready to introduce new skills. And we kept on researching and do we teach people how to do trading or, build YouTube channels or marketing or this thing. And, like we have many different skills that we have, like sales and marketing, all that kind of stuff. And then as I started looking around, I'm like, what is one thing that people really want right now that's easy for them to implement? What's one thing that's revolutionizing humanity as we know it? What's like the biggest opportunity there is? And as I kept on researching, I kept on coming back to AI, But I didn't know what in AI, because I wasn't very familiar with it. It's like, what do you teach people? How to use ChatGPT? Like, there's so many use cases for AI. Until I think it was late last year or early this year when agentic AI came out. And that's where you can leverage AI agents to actually do stuff for you versus prompt engineering. Because until now, it's been prompting. Like when you use ChatGPT, it's like, it's not valuable at all unless you put a prompt into it, right? You ask it to do something, it gives you a result.
The input is the output.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But with agentic AI, with AI agents or AI automations, it's you give it a prompt, but it doesn't stop at answering. It actually does things for you, right? So, for example, the emails, it's not you're telling it, clean this email, it'll do it once and it's done. No, it'll continue doing it. So that's the difference between like agentic AI and then just the kind of the prompt AI that we've been used
So
to.
you can really get some help in doing a lot of tasks then.
Exactly, 100%. And that's where I was like, all right, this is something. Okay, so now how do we monetize this to help people make money? Because for us, at least, like, we're not a traditional school where I'm just here to teach people to do stuff. And then what? My goal is to help people, to teach people to do stuff that they can make money with and not take 5 years of their lives, but like, hey, I can teach you how to do something. and within a few weeks, maybe a couple months, you can turn it and like make money with it,
And
right?
you can see some changes and you can see some improvements.
100%. And so for us, like the two metrics that we were solving for was zero to first dollar, shortest time possible, zero to first dollar, least amount of time possible. So it's like the least amount of investment and the least amount of time. How can we solve for those things? And it kept on coming back to like, okay, something in AI. It's everywhere. People are talking about it. People are scared of it. People want to do it. There's like so much happening, right? It's this taboo thing, you know? And so we partnered up with an AI expert. We brought him in. It's someone that actually I've known for many years now. And we launched the program October 28th, and it's gone good. We took on about 25 people. We limited to a small amount of people. We took on 25 people, working with them one-on-one. Our first person got their first paid client in 5 days of enrolling, which was like, oh my God, you know. It was only like $100. It wasn't anything crazy. It's not like it changed his life, but it was like, okay, this works.
Yeah.
Okay, now can I repeat this? Can I do it? Can I charge $500?
It's
Can I charge
important to
$1,000?
have proof of work
Exactly.
fast.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And then what's the model then? You want to keep focusing on one-on-one training with business owner? Is that where you see this going? Or?
There are many different ways we can take this. And so one way is education, right? And so like let's say if we just focus on AI for a minute. So right now we're teaching 9-to-5ers how to start a side hustle by learning how to do AI and then approaching business owners to help solve problems in their businesses, right? So that's one division of the AI division, I guess. The next division that we're building right now that actually I plan on launching next week is approaching mid-sized businesses. So businesses that have between 100 to 1,000 employees and say, hey, you've got 100, 200, 300 employees, and you guys are interested in AI, yes? Yes. You guys believe that AI can solve problems for you inside of your business, yes? Yes. You don't know what the hell you're doing, yes? Yes. Okay, well, why don't you take 20 of your employees, take them through our certification program. We will teach them how to identify problems within your business and implement AI in your business to help you become more efficient, more productive, and generate more money. So that's kind of the second division that we're looking into. The third division we're looking into is, can we internally build an agency that approaches bigger size, mid to big size businesses and say, hey, we can either teach your team to do it, or we can just do it for you. We'll diagnose the problems and we'll do it for you. So that's the third division. And there's like so many other things that we could do in this space, you know?
The teaching, because it's important to understand what it can do before you create the link in the business in terms of like, oh, maybe I can do this in a different way, and then I can do it a little better.
Exactly.
But if you don't understand, what it can do, or what the capabilities and what's possible, then it's very difficult to make the connections.
And that's why we started with education first, because that's our bread and butter. That's what we know how to do. We've been doing that for the last 6 years. So like when the AI expert first approached me, he's like, hey, let's do an agency. Let's do this. I'm like, dude, I know nothing about AI. Like first I gotta have like a simple understanding of what it is or what it can do. Again, my marketing team uses it to like create images, to do this, we use it for content. We use it for copywriting. We use it for, I was just literally on a meeting right now on the way here in an Uber, and we were figuring out, okay, what is the scorecard metric that we're going to have to measure our success with content, because we just changed our strategy. And I'm like, guys, we're just sitting here like bouncing ideas amongst us, and we're, I think we're okay. We're smart, but it's like, just pull up ChatGPT and have a conversation with it, And then all of a sudden it gave us like 16 different things that we could be doing. And I'm like, okay, there we go, And so like we leverage it that way, but then, it's like, but beyond that, like how do I help someone make money with it? And so first it was like, all right, let's take a couple dozen people, let's help them make money with this. But then right after we started doing that, we started seeing the problems. Okay, what are the problems they're having? Okay, we can solve them. And then the opportunities immediately started presenting itself. And again, I literally just took a prompt, shoved it in ChatGPT, and I said, hey, this is what we got. What are other opportunities, bigger opportunities, kind of the lowest hanging fruit that we can make money with this, add value to businesses. And it just gave me like 5 things. And I'm like, choose this, let's go that,
So then what kind of problem are you seeing people having?
Well, in the existing, let's take a couple things. So let's do macro and then micro. So macro for AI in general, it's scary, because until now, people have until now, people have thought, so it's tech, right? The minute you talk about anything tech, people just like, they back off,
You
right?
freeze a little.
You freeze a little, you know? I mean, I'm like that as well. So
And barely send emails.
yeah, exactly, 100%, you know? And so it's like imagine, you know, telling them, oh, let's do AI and all this. I was like, whoa, what are you talking about right now, you know? And so the first thing is it sounds scary on a macro level,
Yeah.
you know? Because until now, people that had to do AI and technology and all that stuff, they had to be super freaking smart. I'm talking about like book smart, you know? And I don't even know what the percentage is, but I'm pretty sure it's like a very small percentage of the human population that actually have been able to do this, you know, until now. So that's the first gap. That's the first biggest problem that one needs to be able to bridge, getting into this space, or, you know, if you want to build a business around this or whatever. It's like bridging the gap of like, it's complicated. It's really not freaking complicated. Like, I do not consider myself intelligent whatsoever. And let me tell you, man, like, pull up your phone, just go to ChatGPT and like ask it some stuff and just look at how, number one, easy it is, but how much it can improve your life. Like this. Anyone can do this right now, you know? And I am on ChatGPT all day, every day. I used it for probably about 2.5 hours this morning, right? For different things, for like 3-4 different things. I'm using it all day, all day time. And it wasn't like this up until about 6 months ago, right? So that's the first and the first biggest problem. The minute that you realize, okay, it's not scary, I can touch it and I'm not going to get burned. The second thing is, how do I leverage it and where do I leverage it? And what's the highest leverage point view that I can kind of implement this in? Because there are so many things you can do and there's so much noise in the space, right? And there's new tools coming, like literally there are communities right now where you pay like up to a couple $100 a month for like school communities that they don't do anything, but give you an updated list of new AI tools that come out on a weekly basis. On a daily basis, there's new tools. And so it's like, how do you filter out the noise? Because there's so much. Everyone is an AI expert today. Everyone knows this. Everyone is launching a new tool. And the valuations for these things are insane. Like we used to think SaaS used to get like 10, 20x multiple on top line revenue. AI companies, the successful ones, are getting 50 to 100 to 150x multiple on top line revenue. There's a company called Mercer.com. It's like a Fiverr or an Upwork, but just for AI. It just raised $300 million on a $10 billion valuation. Their top line revenue is about $75 million a year, and they raised at a $10 billion revenue, making the 22-year-old founders the youngest billionaires in the world. I literally have a screenshot of the article. It's in my phone, and I always look at them like a dumb son of a gun. You know, like, why couldn't I think of something like this? And I'm 35. These guys are 30, 22. Like, what the hell, you know? And so,
there's so
seriously, you know?
If you want to think about that, but there's so many. I mean, yeah, I thought I would be a millionaire by 20, by 25, by 30. And
Sure.
I guess
Yeah.
now I'm at 35, and then it's still. I made a little over. I think 1, 2, 1, 3 in my career so far.
That's awesome.
And in real estate, but yeah, I mean, it's more difficult than you realize.
Oh, for sure.
And then some people is just. Have you seen Charlie Sheen's documentary?
I have.
It's
wild.
When he explains what do you do when you just start off. The first thing you do is wildly successful.
Yep.
What happened?
Yeah.
That looks like poison.
Yes.
Holy,
Yes.
that looks insane.
Yes.
And then because the first thing you do, it burns like crazy and it goes wild. You're going to have so much bad habits from that.
Yes.
Oof.
Yes.
And then no wonder it's very hard.
Well,
to
that's
deal
why a
with.
lot of the celebrities and like even sports, sportsmen and stuff like that. I don't know what the number was, but it was like 50 to 60% of them, go broke or
On
lose
the
all of
ath-
their money
on
within
the
a few
athletes?
years.
Athletes.
Athletes.
On the athletes, if you Google this, I think it's much higher than that. I think it's like 80-something%
Yeah,
that
exactly.
goes bankrupt
Yeah.
after a few years of
Well, it's also
stopping
this. It's also true about lottery winners, right? Within
Yeah.
5 years, 80 or 90% of them lose out their money because it's like they get just that crush, and it's like they don't know what to do with it, you know?
Exactly. You
Um,
don't have because you have it, but but you didn't learn the skills and the know-how
To keep it and grow it. Yeah.
to exactly,
Yeah.
because you got it, and it was just pure luck.
Yes.
And then sometimes, even with athletes, you get a lot, but it's very difficult. And then also there's gonna be the flies that are gonna come see you. Because
Well, everyone is
when
gonna be
when there's a
smart
big
and
pot
wanna,
of honey,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's just
yeah.
wide open.
Yeah, everyone want to be an advisor and give you
Oh,
help
yes.
and provide help
Oh,
and
yes, you
add
have
value.
I guess you have to be very careful with who you're taking advice from.
Yeah, but you know what I think it is. It's like Warren Buffett says. He has the quote: "A smart man learns from his mistakes, but a wise man learns from other people's mistakes." And this is just me. And I always say I'm slower than the average person. You know, it's always taken me a little bit longer than the average person to actually, you know, to get it right. Um, what I've realized is that if you don't make the mistake yourself, you don't really learn. You know, you don't really learn. Again, I'm slower than the average person, but that's just me. And so I feel like what we're talking about, you know, like Charlie Sheen, you know, he was at his highest and then he collapsed, but then, you know, he's coming back up. And I feel like if he hadn't collapsed and experienced it himself, he'd never be able to learn. But there's a differentiator, because there's those that collapse and get back up and use that as a learning experience, and there's those that just kind of go away, like the singers and the athletes and the actors and the entrepreneurs that make it big and then just kind of disappeared after a couple of years. Like, what the hell happened? No one knows. So I think it's personally for me, every time a downfall has happened after like a big explosion, although it doesn't feel good while it's happening, but whenever I look back, once I'm out of it, I'm like, you know, it's kind of actually a blessing in disguise. You know, that's how I feel personally.
Well, I agree with you. I agree with you on that one, because the struggles are they're more important than we think.
Yes.
And the time it takes, the time that because it's the time that greatness requires is you have to boil, and it has to have a lot of pressure and a lot of heat to actually turn into something. Otherwise, it's not gonna materialize, and it's just gonna fall apart.
I agree.
Yeah, but the I mean, because the character, the inside your mind is much more is your mind is gonna break much before your body.
That always happens.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Tony Robbins talks about it. Success is about 80% mindset and 20% skill. I'm seeing it right now, because this AI program, I'm very involved. You know, like with our Amazon program, I was very involved in the beginning, and then it got very big, and we were enrolling, you know, hundreds of people every single month, and so I couldn't be as involved. And I obviously built a team so that way I can focus a little bit on the macro level. But with the AI thing, I'm very involved. There's only a couple dozen, so I'm like working with them. And although we have the AI expert who's working with them on a daily basis, but I'm seeing it firsthand. It's like we're offering everyone the same skill. Everyone's getting the same education. Everyone's getting the same support. Some of them are crushing it. Some of them are, you know, a little bit. Some of them not so much. And a couple are like, oh, my God, I can't do this. I can't do this. And I'm like, what can you not do? Oh, this is too complicated. This is this. And then when I sit and talk, it's all here. It's all here. You know, they are just up in their heads, spiral out of control. And what I've noticed and what I've realized is oftentimes it comes from what you've been exposed to in the earlier stage of your life. But then something happens, and I believe it's up to you what you do with it beyond that. Because I think we all are given I'm going to take a step back here. I was raised in a household where my father was an entrepreneur. He owned the second largest factory of clothing in Iraq in late 70s, 80s, early 90s. Now, he lost his businesses in the 90s. There was a Gulf War. There was sanctions on Iraq from America, and then he just lost everything, hasn't been able to recoup. We are 4 siblings. If they're watching, I love you guys. But I'm going to maybe say something that you guys might not like. Not the first time that I talk about it publicly, though, so maybe you've gotten used to it by now. But 4 siblings, oldest brother, 57 years old, never had a job. Still relies on daddy. Married, got 2 kids. Sister, attorney, does well for herself. Was an attorney in Iraq. She's an attorney in America. Brother, love him, giving me so many advice, still lives with parents, 43 years old. um, not doing too much in life. And then there's me. And I don't want to, try to blow smoke up, up my own skirt, but it's like, I'm doing pretty okay. You know what I mean? So then you say, okay, well, but everyone was provided the same opportunity. Although I was born in 1990, my father was very wealthy. I mean, like probably top 0.1% of the country, while my siblings were like young and growing up. So you would think that they would have a better shot.
To trap.
Up until whenever my parents never bought me toys, like new toys. I always played with my older siblings' broken toys. I only got new clothes for Christmas, like once a year, twice a year maybe, if that, We looked like we were rich on the outside, but we were cash poor because my father had all these properties and stuff like that, but he didn't have any money. And we weren't able to liquidate them because they were worth nothing during the war and all that stuff.
Sometimes if you sell at the wrong timing, you're just
Exactly.
going to get wiped out.
100%.
And
100%. 100%.
you have nothing.
Exactly. So when I look back, I'm like, well, they had the better opportunity. How come I, broke out? You know what I mean? And so I think there is a regardless of where you were born, regardless what opportunity you're provided, I think right now we all have a level field, especially with the internet, now with AI. Like even if you're a kid in Bangladesh, it's like, dude, you can get on the internet and you can do whatever the hell you want with that,
That's pretty insane though how connected and,
exactly
and
100%.
intertwined everything
100%.
is.
And it's so affordable and it's so accessible today than it ever was in the, like I only knew internet when I came to America in 2006. We had a personal computer, it was a laptop, it was in 2006. It was actually, it's funny, because it was our first ever Thanksgiving in America in 2006. My brother and I stood in the line of Best Buy overnight, and then we bought our first laptop, and that was our first home computer that was actually connected to the internet.
Nice.
Prior to that, I had internet in school, in high school.
Did
right?
you have the dial-in phone?
No. It was
you-
regular internet.
was-
yeah.
okay, so-
2006, so it was a little bit more advanced,
Oh,
But I
yeah.
had no internet until I was 16 because I came to America, where today kids are born with this thing in their hands. I mean, anytime they want, and they have the connectivity. So just to kind of go back to the point that I was making is that we all have a leveling field, but it's up to you what you do with that opportunity. You could be born in a household to billionaires, but yet waste it. And I'll always say, okay, the father has a lot to do with the influence, the mother has a lot to do with the influence, but at the end of the day, it's like no one is going to come to save you, and you can't blame anyone for your shortcomings or for your shortfalls or whatever.
That's
it's
true.
like,
After
listen,
a
man,
while, it's on you.
it's on you,
After
and
a
I don't
while,
care.
It's on you.
You could come from a toxic, relationship. Your parents could be drug addicts. Could all that be true? And that's I understand all that. But at some point, we're gonna have to stop being victims, and we're gonna have to say, okay, it's on me now. I'm gonna do whatever I need to do to get to the life that I want, because no one else is coming to save you. The president is not coming to save you. Your mom is not gonna come to save you. No one's going to save you. You're the only savior. You're the Cavaliers. Like, what are you going to do with this? You've got one life. Are you going to waste it, or are you going to just complain and bitch and moan all day? You know what I mean? So.
Maybe we have more life.
Hey, you know what? We never know. We never know. We never know.
Maybe that could explain the déjà vu.
You know what it is? Although I sometimes believe in that, but I'm like, not knowing that there is something else beyond this actually creates urgency for me to do something big in this. Because if I knew that, okay, there might be another life, I'm like, well, I'll just kind of chill.
You know what it is for me? You know what it is for me, though? The drive is like, how were you raised a Muslim?
Christian Catholic.
Christian Catholic. So
Yep.
same as me.
Yep.
So then when you die, you're supposed to meet Saint Pierre at the entrance of heaven.
Yes.
And then he's supposed to show you your potential and then what you
Exactly.
did, and then do you deserve to be here.
Yeah.
And for me, I don't know if I could live with myself if I come there and then he shows me what could have been and so much more than what I've done. I don't know if I could. If I could, I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah. It's this one. This one is. I want to try to see how. What does your best look like? What can you do?
Exactly.
What does that mean? What does that mean to try your best? Because it's not gonna be the same every day. It's not gonna be all consistent like this. it's a lot like that.
Yes, it is.
And then yeah, and then for a while for me it's just yeah, I want to see how well I can live, and how, you know, how much of an impact I can have.
Yes.
I'd like to you know, how many people can you help? What does that mean? And also it's I like to learn, and then do things, you know, cool.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
You know, in 2013, at the age of 23, I convinced my parents that they should invest all the money they had made. We had been in the country for about 7, 8 years now. We had the first 3, 4 years we worked. My first job was at McDonald's, and then we saved up some money. We bought a small pizzeria, family restaurant, and then whatever money we had made there, I convinced my parents to all invest it in a business that I was going to run, because I was going to save the family, you know. And
oh yes, the
at
family
the
saviors.
at the age of 23, no experience in anything.
And you knew better than anyone else, I'm sure.
Dude, there was nobody that could give me a piece of advice.
No,
Nobody.
no.
I knew it all.
I know it, Dad.
I knew it all. I'm telling you, I knew it all. But the thing is, I was a great salesman. You know,
Of course.
I have a lot of enthusiasm, and I can sell people. You know, and so sometimes it doesn't work in my advantage. I know at the time it didn't work in my advantage. I sold them on that idea. So we invested everything we had in that business. We even borrowed a little bit more money. And for the following 2.5 years, I would work 120 hours per week.
That's a lot.
120 hours a week. I
There's
was just
only a
busting my ass.
168 in the whole week.
Exactly. First
Oof.
person in, last person out, just, you know, busting my ass. After 2.5 years, I lost the place to a fire without insurance, lost 150 grand in the whole process, came out of it with debt, and so on. And I remember, maybe like, you know, 6 months in, I knew that I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and I knew this wasn't going good, you know. But I remember, especially the last like 6 to 12 months, it was so stressful. Sometimes I remember one time I show up to the restaurant, and one of my bartenders comes in, and she's like, "Boss, there's some lady from SDG&E, San Diego Gas and Electric." I'm like, "Oh shit." She's like, "You owe $4,700. The last check you cut for us bounced. I'm here to turn off your electricity. You're either going to give me cash or I'm going to go turn it off." Right? So it was like things like this all the time. So she, the last 6 to 12 months, I knew like things were going really bad. Every morning on my way to the restaurant, the only thought was in my mind was, how could I make sure that, you know, I would go in at whatever, 6, 7, 8 a.m. and then not leave until, on Fridays we'd have like DJ nights and all that, would not leave until maybe like 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. So my goal was every day before I left the restaurant, my goal is to be just 1% better. What could I do today that will drive the place forward? Whatever that meant. Maybe that's a better hire. Maybe that's getting rid of somebody. Maybe that's, you know, improving a menu item. Maybe that's, you know, cutting the time from cooking a burger, instead of it coming out in 20 minutes, have it coming out in 15 minutes. Maybe that's creating a new cocktail. Maybe that's, you know, doing a new special. Maybe that's improving our bottom line. Maybe it's somehow, you know, passing out 100 flyers to the businesses around us. Whatever that was, my goal was every day, I just want to do just one thing that will make me just 1% better and make the business better, right? And I think the problem is why a lot of people get overwhelmed and never accomplish. Like there was a number that I read somewhere. I think it was like 87% of all people that create New Year resolutions, you know, we're coming, you know, to the end of the year here, 87% of people that create New Year resolutions never hit them. And the reason is because people usually create a laundry list of things. And it's like you look at 10, 15 things and it's like, holy shit, where do I even start? But it's like, how can you create one goal? That's what I've been obsessed with over the last 3 years. Every year I create one goal for myself. It's the domino effect. You know, Russell Brunson talks about it. It's like, it's this one domino. If I tip it over, everything, all the other dominoes will fall. It's just this one thing. If I just do this one thing, everything else will be good. 1 year, maybe it's a financial thing. 1 year, maybe it's a relationship thing. 1 year, maybe it's a health thing. Like I know for me in 2023, the year we met, it was a health thing because the previous year I had a health crisis and I thought I was going to die. My doctor said they found a scratch in my brain, and I'm epileptic, and I can't move. I can't go anywhere. I'm going to have seizures anytime and anywhere. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to die.
Holy shit.
You know? Luckily, it was just a one-time thing, and it didn't happen again. But like I thought I was going to die. And so for me, 2023 was how can I improve my health? 2024 was how can I, for me, it was like living in the question, so it's like, what is the one thing you can focus on, the one domino that if you tip over that domino, everything else. So for me, when I went back, it was like every day, it was what is that one thing? If I do it today, it'll drive me closer to my yearly goal, my quarterly goal, my weekly goal, right? And I think one of the reasons why a lot of people get up in their heads and they're all over the place and they're never able to accomplish things and they fall into victimhood and all that stuff is because they have so many things that they want to do and they know they can't accomplish it because they don't have track record of accomplishing things and they make it so complicated for themselves,
This is why writing it down and actually itemize what you, because if you never write it down, then it's just the idea. It stays in your head, and then you're not, because then you're not what you say you do. You're what you're doing actually.
Yes.
Right. So I mean, what did you do to change your health? I'm sure that you didn't talk about changing your health. I'm sure you did. There was some action that happened. I'm sure you changed. Okay, I'm gonna change. Instead of eating fast food, I'm gonna eat it more at home, and then okay, walk more. I'll work out more, and then I'll drink more water. I'm sure that it's just not talk.
Exactly.
You have to change your habits, change what you're doing.
Yes.
This is why people that they lose weight because they did this or that, and then they went on the plan, and then after that they gain it back because they fall into the same habit again.
Yes.
That's why it's so difficult.
Exactly. 100%. It's Tony Robbins talks about it. It's pattern recognition and pattern disruption, right? It's stacking habits, like as you just said, stacking a habit on top of another existing habit. And so, let's say, for example, if you want to take your supplements every day in the morning, you put your bottle of supplements next to your toothbrush because for the last 20 years you've been brushing your teeth when you first wake up. So it's like, okay, that's a habit. It's ingrained in your body. It's going to happen. So it's like stack that new habit next to the old habit, and then you're going to immediately do it. And then also pattern disruption is like, for example, one thing that we hear a lot in the program, the new AI program, is when we ask people, hey, why do you think you're not able to accomplish this, or what seems the problem, whatever? I'm not techie. I'm not good with computers. I'm not techie. And it's like, well, that's a story in your mind, because I'm thinking of one particular person. You're 27 years old. There is a 56 years old that's been able to do this. Who do you think, based on just kind of like these two, the kind of just this piece of information, who do you think would be more techie, the 27 or the 57? It's like the 57 has it figured out. I know you can figure it out. It has nothing to do with the fact that you're not techie. It's the story you've been telling yourself that you're not techie. You're not techie. So it's like, okay, you recognize the pattern of me telling the story in my mind that I'm not techie, and then you disrupt it. Okay, what's the new disruption? It's like, well, is that true? Or is it just a story in my mind that I need to kind of change? Well, what does that mean? Well, what if I do something to prove myself that I'm actually not that,
Whatever
not techie?
story it is that you're telling yourself in your mind is gonna be true. It's either you're gonna do it or either you're not gonna do it. In both case, whatever story you're telling yourself,
Yeah, exactly.
is gonna be true.
And the problem is many people live all of their lives telling themselves a certain story that's not true. It's only true in their minds, but they go all of their lives without even realizing that there's just a story in their minds. A story in my mind was, I'm not a good manager. I can't hold people accountable. It's just not me. I'm the visionary. I make the vision happen, and then I need people to kind of do this. And so what I did was I hired a top executive, $20,000 a freaking month in salary. And I said, hey, you become my COO. You take care of, running the business and all that. But then I realized that someone needs to hold her accountable. It's like, well, someone needs to manage her, and I need to be able to manage her. But the story in my mind was, I'm not a great manager. I don't hold people accountable, until I read a book. And I was like, oh, shit. And then I was like, and then now I've got no problem having tough conversations with people, holding people accountable, firing, hiring, all that stuff. Because it was just the story in my mind. I recognized it, changed it.
Do you think that it was you that was not accountable enough, and then that because you were not doing it in your personal life, you had difficulty
Managing others, possibly.
managing others. Yeah.
Very possibly, very possibly. Yeah, because it's like you can't, you can't preach what you don't practice.
Yeah.
Kind of, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that's very possible as well. But I also the other thing that I grew up with is I realized that I was a people pleaser, and that I would rather have people like me than accomplish the things that I need to accomplish. And so that was a big limiting belief and big something that was holding me back, especially in business, business relationships, all that kind of stuff. So that also had a lot to do with it. But 100%. Yeah.
The liking and the like versus respect is difficult. It's difficult because it's nice to be liked, but I don't think that it's the most important one.
No.
Not even close.
No. Well, Patrick Bet-David talks about it, right? He says, a great leader needs to be, what does it say? He needs to be feared, respected, loved, and something else. And he says, in the terms of like, based on your role, these things change. For example, if you're a father, you need to be, respected more than you are, like you should be respected more than you are feared. If you are, let's say, the president of the United States, maybe you need to be feared more than you are loved or something like that. You know what I mean? So I agree with you 100%. Yeah.
How so you were born in Iraq.
Yes.
How was that? How was that like? Because how is that? How is I mean the only thing that I know about Iraq is that the U.S.
Bombed the shit out of it in
the shit out of
2003.
it. I don't, I don't know. It's not. It's not. I mean, let's just put it this way. I hope that I'll get to see most of the world,
Sure.
and that place I don't know if I will ever see it.
Okay. I'll try to change your mind today. So,
Please.
how was it? When you could be living in the worst condition of the world, if that's what you know,
That's what you know.
that's what you know.
Yeah, that's
right?
just
Like,
that's just what
it's
it
like,
is.
yeah, it's yeah. I mean, how was it? It was normal. It was everyday life.
Yeah.
I woke up. I went to school. I hung out with friends. We had everything we thought we could have, or thought we had access to. Now looking back, it was like, okay, well, number one, it was safe. So I'm gonna talk pre-war and then post-war, right? So pre-war, pre-2003 invasion, it was safe, right? You couldn't, no one could just walk up to you and like shoot you in the head or something, or kidnap you or whatever. There was law and order, but it was a dictatorship, right? And so I don't know if you know what you know about dictator. It was Saddam Hussein.
Saddam Hussein. Okay.
Yeah, he was the president. So you couldn't talk. There were no freedoms, right? There is a saying that until now Iraqis like still kind of like it's engraved in them. There's a saying that Iraqis used to say, walls have ears. So if we're sitting here and then there's literally nothing here, no one can hear us, it's like we can't even be whispering to each other about the government or whatever. It's like, dude, walls have ears. Like your phones, whatever. Obviously there was not even smartphones or laptops or anything, but it's like still, like, dude, walls have, like, what are you, crazy?
Yes.
Because it's not just you. It's you and your entire family line. Everybody, uncles, aunts, I mean, everybody's getting chopped off, right? And so there were no freedoms, and it was anyone that spoke about the government just completely, and it's not like CIA type of stuff where it's like, oh, just something happened and whatever disappeared. No. It's like, no, chopped your head, throw you in the streets, and then like your uncles and aunts and that kind of stuff also started just kind of dropping off and all that kind of stuff. Like it was that. So it was like super scary. No one could do anything about it, right? And it was like there were two different kind of people. You are either in the government or you're not. And if you're in the government, you could do whatever the hell you want and get away with everything. If you're not, then you just kind of, it is what it is. Yeah, exactly. The cool thing, which is not cool, the cool thing is the corruption was very high. So you can buy anybody.
Right.
Right? And so, like, for example, my dad, was fairly wealthy. And so he could do whatever the fuck he wanted. It's like, if you want this, you can get it. Like, I still remember my brother needed a surgery, eye surgery, pretty major eye surgery in Jordan, neighboring country. And they literally had, I don't know why, I can't remember why, I was pretty little. They had to leave that night. Something about, like, meeting with the doctor that was traveling from London or something. They had to meet him, something, I don't know. They needed passports. He got the head of something, passport of something of Iraq, in our house at 12:30 at night on a Friday to issue brand new passports for my brother and my dad, so that way the next morning they can go to the airport and leave, right? So that was the cool thing about it, because you could get anything you want. If you have money, you can get anything you want. Don't matter, right? The not so cool thing about it was the fact that, you know, there are no freedoms. Even if you are an entrepreneur and then you make it and you get to a certain level, then you become a threat to the government. And you can also be chopped off at the knees, right? It's like, whoa, you got to relax, buddy. Can't get too successful.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
no, we don't want that.
Yeah, if you want to continue, it's like the government needs to get a piece,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
The other
If
thing
you
was...
you need protection. I mean, no,
Exactly.
you're a well-known man.
Exactly, 100%.
We wouldn't want anything to happen with you with such lovely bride and
Yeah,
children.
exactly.
It would be a
100%.
shame if something happened to them.
100%. 100%. So there were was stuff like that. Now, post-war.
Yeah.
So post-war was, and there was suppression, right?
So
before
post
war.
2003.
Post 2003, right? So before 2003, there was a lot of suppression. Again, you couldn't get out. You couldn't. There was no travel. There was no tourism. There was no getting access to the outside world. You know, there was 3 TV channels, and that's all you saw. And the government fed whatever the hell they wanted to feed you, and that's it, right? So very suppressed. Now post-war, all that went away. So you're open now. It's like putting blindfolds on you and then just open them. It's like, holy shit. Where has all this been?
Yeah.
Right? People started getting dish inside of their house so they can see, you know, global channels, and they could see all this stuff, and cell phones started arriving, and internet started arriving, and all that kind of stuff, and travel opened up and all that. But there was no law and order. That's when we saw discrimination, especially against Christians. Before war, you know, talk shit about Saddam. I'm not giving him, you know, I'm not saying he's a great guy. Like, he deserved everything he got, and probably.
But it was unstable after.
But there was law and order. There was no discrimination, especially against Christians, right? Post-war, it was free for all. It was the Wild West, and until today, it is. And unfortunately, so here's a crazy stat: when they confiscated all of his palaces and all that stuff, they said that Saddam was worth about $35 billion. This is about 30-something years of being the ruler of Iraq. You know, the 5th biggest reserve of oil in the world. The first 10 years after the war, the top 10 Iraqi officials had a combined net worth of over $500 billion. So they were able to do about 15x what he did in 10 years, what he did in 35. Now, again, I'm not saying, they're better than him or he's better than... I'm not. Both crooks, both should deserve everything they got, and what, you know, probably what haven't gotten. But post-war, a lot of corruption, even more corruption, free for all. Someone could just walk up to you in the street. They don't like the way you look. They will shoot you in the head, and then no one can do anything about it. Why? Because whatever, their families tied up or whatever.
Who
like,
are you gonna go to?
Who are you going to go to? And if you go to the police, let's say for us Christians, right? Like, it happened a few times. And again, I'm not trying to try to say divisive shit, but this is just kind of what happened. You asked me, so I'm just going to say kind of what happened. We had a property in Iraq. My father and my brother went there to visit whatever. The neighbors came by to whatever. I'm not sure what they were trying to do. They wanted to buy it for pennies on the dollar. My dad told them to go screw themselves. And then they pretty much beat up both my dad and my my brother. And my dad and my brother went to the police station to put a report. They saw that that we're Christians. They said, there's nothing we could do. There's no witnesses. There's no eyewitnesses. There's nothing we could do, right? And then somehow my dad was able to go to the U.S. What's it called? To the U.S. Base in Iraq, and they were able to bring an actual troops, American troops, and then they were able to arrest them and do all that. You know, because at the time the American troops were also kind of like the temporary police. Because the police forces, the military, all that got disassembled. So the Americans created a local kind of police in a way, take care of to create some law and order. But the first 2-3 years, it was like your most aggressive action movie in life. And I'm talking about car bombings, people dead on the streets, legs chopped off, arms chopped off. It was that every day. Was every day. I remember one time We were driving down the street, and we had to pull to the side because there was a convoy, an American, military convoy. It would always be Humvees, like 2-3 Humvees, a couple tanks, 2-3 Humvees, and then you can't, you have to be like a couple 100 feet away or whatever. Otherwise, they will shoot.
Yeah, yeah.
Like they will shoot. They don't care. They will shoot. One time in front of me, they shot at an ambulance that was carrying a patient in the back. Luckily, no one got injured, but they shot because he got close to them.
But I guess they have to worry about that because
car bombing's everywhere.
Exactly.
Car bombing's everywhere. So I understand. I understand. They're all paranoid. They're all like you understand. A lot of these guys are pretty like kids.
It's a high stress work environment.
100%, exactly. Yeah. And so we pulled to the side. They passed us maybe a few hundred feet. Maybe like quarter mile or something like that. And then all of a sudden we just hear a big bang, and a car goes up in the sky, maybe like 400 or 500 feet, and then just lands on the ground. And then 2 other cars next to it blow up as well.
Whoa.
There was a car bombing on the side of the road that just exploded.
Just a few,
That was an everyday thing, an everyday occurrence, right? An everyday occurrence, especially the first couple years. Because there was a lot of rebels and all that stuff, and like leftover troops from Saddam's side, and then now Iran came in, and there was just so many things happening. And so that was the first couple years. And then we just quickly realized that because the hope was my father owned a lot of property in Iraq. It was worth nothing during Saddam. After, we're like, all right, American companies, foreign companies, Westerns are going to start coming in. Like, our stuff is going to go up. We can start, doing stuff, projects, all that stuff. So dad's hopes were
outside
up.
capital.
Exactly.
There's going to be something to restart. Maybe we'll get
100%.
connection. We'll get new contracts.
100%. That was the hope.
And it didn't materialize.
It did not materialize. It wasn't even it didn't materialize. It was like, if we go to sleep, we don't know if we're going to wake up the next morning.
Yeah.
So it was like that for about a quick year and a half, 2 years. And then we quickly realized, okay, we got to get the fuck out of here. And so first it was me and my brother that left because my mom had already come here to America a few years prior. We came, my brother and I, and then about a year and a half or so after, my father followed. We still had an oldest brother that lived there for a while. He's still in Iraq, northern Iraq. And we had a sister that lived there with her family, and they came to America maybe like 7-8 years later. So she came here about a decade ago. 2015 is when she moved here.
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess, it's very difficult to make 10-year projection when you don't know.
No, you can't even plan the weekend, Because, like the thing, like literally every day you're thinking, I'm gonna go to sleep tonight? Am I gonna wake up tomorrow?
How am I gonna stay alive today?
I'm gonna leave. Am I gonna come back? Because there's a boom everywhere, and you don't know. You could be just going to work or going to whatever, and then a bang happens next to you,
boom.
And then you're gone. And so many people we know died that way. So many, tens, hundreds. So that was kind of the last couple of years before we migrated to America. Yeah.
So would you say that more people that died from car bombing than from COVID?
I actually don't know a single person that died from COVID.
Yeah, me neither.
But short answer is yes.
That's
I don't know any people personally that died from COVID, specifically from COVID. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean.
If this podcast was released a couple of years ago, it probably would be taken down right now. It would probably be taken down right now. But luckily, we're a couple of years in.
That's a baby.
It depends on who you ask.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it depends on who you ask. So at the time, no, I get it. At the time when it first happened, there was a clear division. So like us, the type of people in the world, it was like, hell yeah, like let's go. They're gonna come and everything's gonna be great and opportunities and all that stuff.
It's never exactly how you imagined it.
Exactly, 100%. So it's like opportunities. Saddam is gone. Like hell yeah, And then there was his people. And his people were like, this is the worst thing ever, because he was the ruler for 35 years. They were living like the best life, And then there was like countries like Iran, because Iraq's population. So I don't know how much you know about Islam, but Islam has 2 main denominations, like Christians. We have Catholics and we have Orthodox and whatever. Islam has 2. There are Sunnis and there are Shiites. So Iraq is mainly.
They don't like each other, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could say that. I don't want to speak on their behalf, but from what I know, living with them for 16 years, that's what I've kind of gathered. Iraq's population mostly is Shiites. However, Saddam was Sunni. So that already creates a big conflict, right? Iran, who's a big troublemaker in that region, is Shiites. So when Saddam was gone, they're like, hell yeah, like we're going to come and take over Iraq. And so that's kind of one of the biggest problems that's happened in Iraq up until now, why it's so unstable, because Iran have their hands in Iraq. So the Sunnis of Iraq were like, oh my God, that's the worst thing that can happen. Iran was like, hell yeah. But then they're like, but wait, America's there now. How do we get rid of them? Or how do we try to work with them? But they know America wouldn't want to work with them. But it just kind of depends. And again, us of the world, we're like, yes. And then we're like, oops, and then and so it was honestly, it depends who you ask and when, it was just kind of all over the place, because when it came, it was big hope. Like I even remember, I mean, sometimes like the troops would go down the street, and it was never the Iraqis that were actually like hating on American troops or whatever. Like there were some villages and some places where they would walk and people would like bring them flowers and all that kind of stuff and throw flowers at them and all that, It was more of the rebels and all that really wanted to create instability in the country, and so yeah, it was an interesting dynamic to say the least. Yeah.
I mean, that's very different from where I grew up.
Where'd you grow up again?
I grew up in south of Quebec City, Beauce.
Got it.
It's a small town. It's called Saint-Gédéon, Saint-Robert, Saint-Martin.
Okay.
Very few small towns over there. I grew up making maple syrup with my dad, and playing football and volleyball, and very quiet and loving childhood.
Well, I guess you could say like a very like westernized, childhood. No?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, very, very much. Well, deep in the woods. I was for the first 20 years. I was outside cutting trees, drilling holes in them and sucking the water out of it,
Nice.
and boiling water to make sugar.
Nice.
But I mean, it's. But that's the fun thing with this is like we met, we kind of vibed a little,
Yep.
and then wildly different upbringings.
Yes.
And still lots of similarities in how we think and the type of work that we're doing and how we process the world and things like that. It's pretty amazing how much like there's different paths to the top of the mountain.
Yes, there definitely are. And, because like I think before we started shooting, we were talking about like everyone wants the better life.
Yep.
It doesn't matter what your color is, where you come from, or
And
whatever.
then maybe it doesn't even matter what the better life is. You just kind of like, all right, I'd like to make it a little nicer.
Exactly, 100%. And so obviously different people have different aspirations, and how they get there also maybe is determined by their upbringings or what's available to them or whatever. And so like that, I think everyone in the world can agree on is like, you want to improve your life. Yes. Yes. Okay, great. Now I think what happens is how and why we get pulled and why divisiveness happens and all this other craziness happens and wars and whatever else is everything else, is politics, religion, country of origin, history. Like, for example, I'm not very well educated. That's why I try to stay away. But let's just kind of maybe take 30 seconds and talk about it. The whole Israel-Palestine thing. This has been going on for I don't even know how long.
Thousands
right?
of years.
Exactly. So I don't want to say I bet, if there was a world where they can erase the memory of all the Israelis and Palestinians before, let's say, today, and they say, okay, everything that's happened prior to today, let's just erase your memory. Like you don't
It's
have
done.
a recollection of everything that's happened right now. If you go and try to make this work, wouldn't you agree that they would probably have a higher chance at making this work than with everything else that they know from 100 years ago? My father, this was my dad's house, and you guys took it from me. But no, this was in the Bible, and this is the promised land, and this was the this, and this was the that. So I think all these different things all the baggage that we bring with us, I think is the thing that really divides us. But I think at the end of the day, we all want better life. Regardless if you're Christian or if you're Muslim, if you're Hindu, or if you're this or that, or if you're from Iraq or from Canada or what. It doesn't matter where you're from. It's like we all want a better life, And I think if we can somehow find a common ground around that, can maybe live in a better life, live in a better world. But I don't know if that'll ever happen.
I don't know. I think, well, I think arguably we are, but I mean, there's so many things that have improved in the last 100 years, 200 years, 300. Like, just extreme poverty is down, what, 90%, 90 something percent. Um, we're we can talk to people all the way across the world. We can travel to LA in less than 6 hours. We can. There's so many things that improved, and yet, I mean, I guess human nature is so that we're always gonna fight for petty things. But I don't know. Would you think that is better now, or you'd say maybe because a lot of people have nostalgia for the past?
Mm. I so remember what I said about my dad about having been very successful in the late 70s, early 80s, and 90s. And unfortunately, he is one that has been reliant on other people to fix his problems. The new president, the new administration, the new this. And I've been hearing that story for 25 years now. And I'm like, Dad, when is enough going to be enough? He clings on to the good old days. And then every time we talk, it's like, yeah, I remember when this and that. It's like, yeah, Dad, that was 35 years ago. Like, fuck are we doing right now? And because of that, I despise the word the good old days. I'm always like, why is it the good old days? Why isn't it the good new days? And even like in our company, 21, 22 were very explosive for us. I mean, we did numbers we could never even imagine. And 23, 24 were very rough. Very rough. I mean, we got down to like our last, 50, 100 grand, where it was like, dude, we're about to go bankrupt. Like we're burning cash like it's going out of style, and like literally. And I remember I would catch myself talking about, remember 21, man,
Yeah, we were
like, oh my
making it
God, we're
damn.
just,
Woof.
and like I would remember my team talking about, and I'm like, guys, like screw that, we're not gonna do that, because I've watched my dad do that for all of my, literally all of the years that I've been alive. And I'm not going to be that person who clings on to the good old days. Like, screw the good old days. I'm going to make the new days good, right? And so I don't know. That's just my take on this whole thing. Is like, yeah, there's something about, Tony Robbins talks about it. He says it's not what happens to you that matters; it's the meaning you give to it. And that's why certain things, like I've been listening to this singer, this Iraqi singer, very famous, and he does like these 2-hour parties or whatever that are available on YouTube. And so lately I've been just kind of listening to it, and I remember in his thing, he's always talking to the audience, like, guys, every time I sing a new song, you guys don't react. Every time I sing an old song, you all like get up and go crazy about it. And I think it's because certain things happen that we assign a meaning to it, and it like gets embodied in our bodies and our feelings. And that's why there's that nostalgic feeling where it's like, man, the good old days, But I truly do believe that we could do that now and in the future as well. It's the feeling and the meaning that we assign to an experience that really gives it that importance, and it creates that memory. It's not the thing itself.
Well, yeah, and Di Bernardi said it in the office. He said, "I wish you could have known when you are in the good old days that you are in the good old days."
Yeah.
And then it's very true,
Yeah.
because it's only looking back that
Exactly.
you're kind of nostalgic, or it's because it's not doing something and not seeing people, and not, it's so easy not to.
Yes.
That it require. And then for me, when I look back at certain times, there's, it was, there's a lot of times where I could say that it was kind of the good old days in different parts of my life, because playing football the time when I was in school, it was all of it, and I thought that I would make it pro, and then I saw, like, I didn't want to pursue the CFL, and I didn't think that I had what it takes to make it in the NFL. I didn't see the pass, so I was like, okay, let's just focus on business, and then instead of playing the game, and then yeah, and it's just yeah, because it really is the because during the time there's a lot you have the trouble, you have the downside of going through the motion, kind of, and then afterwards the pain is gone, and then you can just you only see the kind of, so maybe the positive, or you have certain, I don't think you see the whole picture, but yeah, it's just it's interesting to look back, because it really is the meaning that you give to it.
Yes,
It's kind of, yeah. Hmm.
exactly.
Hmm. What's what's a period in your life that you'd wish you would not relive, but maybe change, or is there something you wish you'd done better, or took a different approach to things, or took a different route?
Uh, hindsight's always 2020, right? There are so many things. Knowing what I know today, I could have probably done differently, but I like to say that I have no regrets, and that if I had to go do it all over again, I would do it exactly the same way, because then that led me here, and I'm happy where I am. Do I want to be further in life? 100%. Everyone does. I don't think there will ever be a moment where I say, oh, I'm satisfied, I'm happy, I'm good, I don't want anything more. I think just naturally for us humans, it's not about that I want, it's that we need better. We need progress in our lives. When people say, um, having been in coaching and talking to 9 to 5ers especially, and, talking about their goals and what they want to do in life, I would say maybe 60-70% of them, their goal in life is to retire early. And I'm always like, deep down, I'm like, man, I don't know if that really should be your goal. Because I guarantee you that if and when you get there, first of all, retirement is not the answer. The only reason why you want to retire is because you're doing something that does not inspire you right now. Because I think I can guarantee that if you do something that actually you enjoy, you'd be like, I never want to not be doing this. Like, I can't see
I don't
myself
want
not
to
doing
stop.
this.
Yeah, I don't want to
Exactly.
stop eating pizza.
Exactly. Exactly, 100%, But it's like, retirement is not the goal. Stopping is not the goal, because work creates progress, and progress creates happiness and fulfillment, and that's what we need in our lives. Like, if you see someone that's miserable and someone that's depressed, just look at the last 1 to 5 years of their lives, and you'll probably see this much progress. You see someone that's happy, they could be like, the progress doesn't mean that they are successful or whatever. It's like they're just working on something that is actually bringing joy into their life. You're going to see this much progress. And it could be in health, it could be in relationships, it could be anywhere, right? And that's what creates fulfillment that I truly do believe. And so when I look back, I'm like, well, would I change what I have done so far? I'm like, well, I don't think I would change anything, because that, although, and especially the mistakes, because when like the first, when he said, what would you change? The immediate thing I went to was, okay, what are all the mistakes that I made? How can I avoid them, right? And it's like, well, if I had not made those mistakes.
Sometimes you have to make the mistake.
Exactly. Like what I said earlier about Warren Buffett, if it wasn't for the mistakes, I wouldn't be here. Like, I was having a conversation with someone on my team yesterday. I'm like, man, we built one of the largest education companies. We grew from this to this. We did it in a record time. Until now, no one has done it. But we did it with a single funnel, with a single traffic source, and with a single product. And at the time, we were so proud of it. But then that also was one of the biggest reasons why we failed. And when we collapsed hard, because we didn't have something to hold us. And I'm like, bro, if we were to do this all over again, here's what I would do. And I laid it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But it's like, yeah, but at the time I didn't know that. That information wasn't available to me. Now looking back, it's like, yeah, if I come to a business is where I was, I could easily tell them to do these things and then increase their revenue by X, Y, and Z. And that's why consulting happened.
Yeah. How do you use your notepad, Bashar?
Well, so anything that I'm thinking about, anything that I'm going through right now that I have happening, I use notepads to add all of my notes. So let's say if I'm doing brainstorming or whatever, I'll add it in here, right? And then I was telling her that I also have Trello that I use. So that's for more like longer term storing stuff. So I use it for like project management, but I also use it for place for my storing. And then what I'll do is things like, for example, so I have this thing called Sunday routine. So Sunday routine for me is I review my vision, personal vision, marriage vision, work vision, foundation vision. I go through my my core values, my goal for the year, and then I have a bunch of notes that I have taken either from books, from people, Patrick and David, for example, a few notes here, and I review those every Sunday. And then at the end, I have 5 questions that I ask myself, and I look at that. So that's like here, let's say, for example, I had a marketing meeting earlier today. I had my notes that I want to talk about with them on here. And then, but the thing about me is once I'm done with something, I delete it. I don't keep anything on my phone. So I have things here that's been here for many years. For a while, I was actually, so since I was a kid, I used to always have a lot of dreams. It's like the minute that I put my head to sleep until the minute that I wake up, I'm dreaming. It was just crazy. I haven't had so many dreams lately. But what I started doing is I started actually documenting my dreams or whatever I can remember of them. So I'll put the date and then I'll document them. And then like once a year, twice a year, I'll go back and oftentimes they didn't make sense like that far out. So I try to put as much details as possible. But that's like one thing that I do add here. But the one you asked me earlier was reflection. So the reflection thing I have in here, I'll choose one for business and then one for personal. So one for business, and this was one of the biggest ones that I think worked in our disadvantage. So one of my personal core values, and it became company's core values, was focus, right? And so for me, focus is like, all right, like for example, you're always going to see me wearing black. I've got 6 shirts, 2 long sleeve, 4 short sleeve, 2 collared, 2 non-collared. I have 3 jeans that are exactly the same. I have I have 4 shoes. No, 4. I have 5 shoes, and then 4 shorts, 5 tank tops, and then underwear, and that's it. And then socks. I have like 6 socks. So those are all black. Everything's black. So when I open my closet, it's all black. Like today, I'm like, all right, I'm going to be inside. It might be a little chilly. I'm going to wear something long sleeve, right? Although it's pretty hot outside, right? But same jeans, all same brand, same color, same fit, same everything. So I don't have to think. I just get it, And so, like for me, focus, right? When you open our fridge, it's it's like water, whatever juices that we drink, lunch for the week. That's it. There isn't like extra stuff,
Do you order the food prepped or you?
I did that. So I took about 2 years to like I hired a chef that would cook for us. I did food prep. I did all that stuff. I did not like any of it. What I do right now is we go to Milam's on Mondays, and we buy enough food for the week, and then I just know what I'm gonna eat. I know my macros. I know I eat once a day, so I know what I'm gonna eat. I know how much protein I'm gonna eat per day. I know how much what else I'm gonna eat, and then I just pop it in the air fryer, and then within 10 minutes it's ready, and I eat it. Because my wife and I eat at a different time. She eats a little bit later. I like to eat around 2-3 o'clock. And that's that. So and then
really? You only eat in the middle of the afternoon, and then
between 1 to 3 is when I eat. So I break my fast with bone broth. Then I'll do like a main meal with about 14 to 16 ounces of protein, some side, and then I'll do like a little dessert with like yogurt, some what's it called? I take in about 22 to 2,400 calories a day, and that's about it. And then until next day. So to go back to reflection. This was something that I learned from Sam Ovens, one of my earlier mentors. It's this thing called the S curve, right? And the S curve is, if you look at an S, it's got like it goes like this and it goes up and has it down at the bottom, at the top. And so what he said, what the S curve says is, regardless what it is you're doing, if you have a business, a campaign or something, this is specifically for a business. You always want to be looking for the next S curve as the current campaign or the current thing that you're doing is on the way up. Because what happens is, oftentimes, let's say you're doing something. You launched ads, you launched a podcast, you did something, you've been grinding, there is nothing, and then boom, something happens. And it just takes off. Hockey stick, and it just starts going up. When that's happening, we usually get too excited. We're like, it's going good. Don't touch it. Don't break it. If it's not broken, don't break it, right? Don't break it if it's not broken. But the problem is, nothing lasts forever. Everything has a down point, right? And the problem for us is we grew the company by like 15x over, like by about 37x over 2 years. And we focused on just that one thing because focus, focus, focus. And we grew, but then we got to the top, to the peak, and then we started declining, and we didn't see the signs. And so now the thing is like, all right, well, when something is working on the way up, great. Optimize, build foundation, build a strategy, build a process around it. And then you, especially as a CEO, as the founder, go look for the next thing. And always be continuing to looking for the next thing. Otherwise, the thing that you're doing right now, it'll only last for X amount of time, and then it will get to the peak and it'll start declining. And it's the worst time to start looking for the new S-curve when it's declining because you're freaking out. Shit's not going as good as it once did, and then now you're freaking out. So that's one of my biggest takeaways personally for business. For personal life,
Focus is important.
yeah, focus is very important. So that's why it's one of our core values. One of my personal things was figure out what your, Grant Cardone. He always talks about passive income, passive income, passive income, and I never understood what this meant. Figure out what if your main income source goes away, whatever that is, your job, whatever it is, your business, even if it's your business. If it goes away, how much money comes in every month? If it's zero, then you should live as low as possible. I'm talking about no fancy cars, no fancy homes, no going out, none of that. And that lifestyle only increases when your passive income increases. So your lifestyle should only match how much passive income is going. The problem that I was having, or that I got into, is as my income increased, my lifestyle started increasing, not proportionally because, we were making so much money that it didn't make any sense. Yeah, but the thing is with us, we were making so much money it didn't make sense. And my lifestyle would never be able to catch to my top line because it was so much, it just became stupid at some point. And so, which is a good problem to have.
Past a certain point, you're looking for, why do you have to pay for everybody?
Exactly.
Because for you and your wife and maybe whatever, it's not going to how can it, you don't require that much resources to go around.
Well, dude, I've seen people living on like $200,000-$300,000 a month, and they're like, "Well, that's like bare minimum." Like, how? What are you talking about? For just a mini bit of family. But that's what I'm saying. Like, it can get pretty crazy.
But one of the thing that I heard that once you don't have to look when you go out for dinner for the price.
Yes.
Everything else after that is bullshit.
Exactly, 100%.
What do you need? Because your house is gonna be your house. If you live in a nice 2-bedroom, whatever, if the house costs $500,000 or $10 million, after a while it's just gonna be your house.
Yes.
The feeling that you have coming in, the same thing, it's gonna be very similar. Maybe one is you're gonna have a view, but after a while, maybe you're not even gonna look at it because you're too stressed of the other things, and then you forget that this is even there.
Exactly.
But yeah, the living large. Let me tell you this. I don't know if I met anyone that just blew a lot of money that worked to gain it, because if you actually did the thing to deserve the resources to actually create the value, I don't know if you're just gonna waste it.
Well, yes and no, because I've seen people that do blow it. You know what it is? I think, and what I've seen at least, I think oftentimes what happens is if you struggle for a long time and then you make it, usually there's two paths. There's the ones that become super disciplined and actually over save, and then there's the ones that just kind of start making it rain. And I think this has a lot to do with also your upbringing and the habits that you have accumulated early on. Like for me, what I said earlier about being a people pleaser, for me it was, and it wasn't, I was always tougher on my family versus my business partners,
How so?
An example would be, and I'm not proud of it, but an example would be my wife would ask for a new purse, and I'd be like, "What the fuck do you need a new purse for? You know, like you don't need that. You know, how much is this? $3,000. Like, for what? Like, why?
Well,
you know."
those
Now
are
here,
good points.
now here's the thing. Here's the thing. At some point, I was making hundreds of thousands of dollars per month in net, taken home, right? And so it's like, what is it? Like 0.1% or something like that. It's like it's nothing. You know, like you can like it'll come and go and you won't even think about it.
Yeah.
But if a team, if someone from my team asked for a raise or something like that, then it was, yeah, no problem. And for me, because the value that I thought people were bringing into the table, at the time, I did not think my wife was bringing in value to the table as much as my team. And that was, again, that was another story in my mind that I realized was completely flawed, right? Mm-hmm. That I worked on and I fixed. And so, but then with my team, because I had that feeling inside of being a people pleaser, there was never a no. My sales director would come in and say, hey, Bashar, I want to do I want to give out a $20,000 bonus this month for X, Y, and Z. Can we get away with 10? Probably. Can we get away with 5? Probably. But the question was never there. 20,000? Yeah, sure, no problem, man. Do it there. Hey, I want to send this guy. I want to rent a Lamborghini for this guy for the weekend. Great, no problem. Can we maybe get him to, produce more for him to be deserving of this? No, it was like yes to everything, right? And there was that people-pleasing side of me that actually did not, there was no breaks. There was no no's, right? Because for me, it was like, deep down, I was like, for example, since I was a little kid, I always wanted a Rolls Royce, right? And it got to a point where I can buy 2 of them per month from that month's profit if I ever wanted. But for 2 years, I pushed it because I'm like, deep down, my thought process was, what if my team thinks I'm busting my ass so my boss can go and buy a fucking Rolls Royce? Like, what is that about? I went to a Tony Robbins event. That story got removed. That next weekend, I went and got one. And then everybody in the company was like, oh, my God, that's the best thing that's ever happened. Holy shit. My boss driving a brand new freaking Rolls Royce. Like, oh, my God, And I was like, oh, wow. Okay, so that story only existed in my brain. Yeah. It was not true for anybody else. But it was the people pleaser part of me. And so I think there is it depends how you treat it,
So you bought the car.
And then 2 years later, I sold it. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then did you see a change in your mindset and in your mood when you were driving the car? Like or it was just another car after a while?
After a while, so a Rolls Royce never becomes just another car, at least not in my case. But the day one excitement does fade. Like day one, I was taking pictures everywhere. And saving in my phone, by the way. I never posted a picture. And that was the other thing is every time I thought about buying the Rolls Royce, it was always, I'm going to post on Instagram, I'm going to do this video, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, but that's not why I'm buying it. Bless you. I was like, but that's not why I'm buying it. And it wasn't, I finally made the click and bought it when I realized that, okay, I'm buying it for me, not for anybody else. And for about a year and like 10 months of having the car, no one on social media knew that I had a car. I'd never posted about it or never talked about it a single time. There were times where I was having a bad day and just taking a ride in the car made me feel much better. I'm going to tell you that never got old. Being at the traffic light and then having people take pictures and stand in front of it or whatever never got old. Never got old. You got used to it, but it never got old, right? So there are certain things that if you make them the be-all, end-all, and that's the driver, I think at a certain point is important, but then at a different point, the goal needs to change.
The goal, yes.
I have some 22, 23-year-olds in my program that are like, bro, I just want to make enough money to buy a Lamborghini. I never tell them don't. Because there was a point in time for me when I was making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month and take home where it was like, dude, like making more money is just digits at this point. And then I started preaching to everybody, oh, money is not everything. You shouldn't have money as your goal. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? When you got started, when you were $150K in debt, money was everything. And getting to this level, it was the desire of wanting to make money and get out of the shithole that you were in. But now that you have millions of dollars in the bank, you're going to start preaching that money's not everything? That's bullshit. It's levels. When you first start, listen, money's everything. If money's not everything for you, great, no problem. But if money's everything for you, great. Because if that's what it takes for you to get off your ass, do something about your life, awesome. Great. Now, money can't take you to Elon Musk level, right? Maybe that's not where you want to go. Money probably can't take you to Patrick Bet-David level, right? Because at a certain point, it's like, all right, like as you said earlier, it's like, okay, well, I don't have to worry about what I buy or whatever. It's like, okay, well, what else is going to drive me?
But the thing with the money though, and then maybe you'll have a different view on this, but for me, it's the it's not the I see it more as a like I like to talk about resources more than money. Just in a general term. Like I don't know if when you were young, did you play a lot of video games?
I was the odd guy that was never into sports, never into video games until today. Yeah.
Well, I played a lot of sports and video games, so and then one of the things that I'm seeing it like for the money now is just is the to me it's more of a result and that of the value that you created, and more of a track like keeping score, but if you're after the money and not the thing that got you the money, I think the it's misplaced. You see what I mean? Because you said it earlier, like when you're doing stuff and then it pops. Sometimes it's like, oh my god, I'm doing so well, and then you stop doing the action that got you to get the results.
Yes.
Right. And then so if you focus on the money, then you get it. Then you stop doing everything else that got you that, and then you see the result plummet.
Let me ask you a question. You said that your upbringing was beautiful. You would play with your dad and sports and all that kind of stuff. Was there a lack of money as you grew up? Like, did you ever feel it at least?
No, not really.
Yeah. So how you grow up has a lot to do with it. How I grew up, there was a lot of lack of money. When I was trying to become an entrepreneur and I lost everything and was $150,000 in debt, there was a shitload of lack of money.
Yeah.
So I think that has a lot to do with it. Now, if from your upbringing, like Donald Trump's son, I mean, I don't know if maybe money is a big driver. Maybe status is a big driver, Maybe is proving his dad that he can do it on his own is a big driver, right? Money is just the measuring stick, as you said. And so I think it has a lot to do with whatever you choose to be a driver versus whether or not what you focus on, at least in the early stages. Now, for me today, money is not a driver anymore, because I got plenty of it. I've got investments. If I stop working right now, they'll take care of me. I won't live lavish lifestyle, but I can manage. I'll still be able to live, maybe a couple blocks away from the beach, maybe not on the beach, but a couple blocks away. I won't be able to afford a Rolls Royce, but I can probably get a nice BMW or something like that, and I'll be okay, right? So money is no longer the driver. But when I first started, like I'm talking about the first 3-4 years, man, money was everything for me. Because again, I was $150,000 in debt, 25 years old. I had just met someone that I cared for. Every time we'd go out, I'd have 30, 40 bucks in my pocket. I would literally pick and choose, like beforehand, where we're going to go. And I'm like, okay, I can only go this far because I got enough gas to go make sure that we can afford a meal and come back. I
can afford her lunch, one entree for me,
exactly,
and one dessert.
Exactly.
That's
no
it.
dessert. No dessert. Dessert was like once a month type of thing. You know what I mean? And so, and then my parents, like, I lost everything. They trusted me with this. I was supposed to be the savior, right? And so at where I was there was like, dude, there was a shitload of lack of money, And I was like, okay, I got to make enough to, like, screw my debt and all that. I need to make enough to just be able to, like, whenever I go out with this chick, it doesn't take me 15 minutes to look at the menu, so that way I can pick the cheapest thing, versus, like, when you said, when you go out, that was one of my biggest drivers. In fact, my tagline for my company when I first started was, never worry about a price tag. All I wanted, I've always been, into steak since I can't ever remember. I always wanted to just get the freaking expensive ribeye. That's all I wanted. And I could never afford it. If I ever get a steak, it would always be the filet, and I freaking hate filet. Or I would be like skirt steak or something like that. It's like chewy, and you're sitting there and chewing the whole thing, like smiling, like, yeah, this is great, you know? But it's not, right? And I can remember when I got, like you're talking about, you know, because you said something right now that really hit me hard emotionally. I can remember when I got to a point where I don't have to look at how much it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what place we were at. They'll give me the check. I'm like, here we go.
That's
Whatever.
fine. I don't even.
You know,
Yeah.
is the tip there? Yes. Okay. If not, here's 20%. Right. That did change a couple of years ago when I saw Kevin O'Leary talk about how he checks the price because sometimes he gets stupid or whatever. I'm like, all right, if Kevin O'Leary's checking, I'm checking. You know, the guy's worth like 10 times more than I am. If he's checking, I'm checking. You know.
Yeah.
But it's like for 2 years, I didn't, and man, did it feel good. Or like if I'd be out with my friends or my family or my parents or whatever, and my mom's like, Bashar, you're not gonna look. What if they added an extra item? And I'm like, Mom, who cares? Like,
It won't make.
you know, it's like they added what, an extra what, $100? Who cares? Whatever. I probably made a few of those while I'm sitting here at dinner. Like, who cares, right? So again, I think it like when you're starting, whatever the driver is, the driver is. But I do agree with you 100%. There is a level where you get to where it's like, okay, money is no longer the driver, because if you're always going to have the money as the driver, then you're going to get to a point where you're going to get complacent. And my God, is complacency freaking tough. It is the worst place anyone can be in. I've been in it twice in my life, and there was a downfall right after.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, because now you're the shit. Now you don't need to work as hard because everything that you're doing is so good, and it's just slow down. You lift your foot, and yeah, that's complacent and entitled and lazy is fun qualities.
Yes. And I experienced all of them twice in my life.
I mean,
It's the shittiest thing ever.
because I mean, you kind of. It's all fun and games if you can notice patterns with other people's behavior, and you can see like, oh, maybe if I do this, it won't end up very well for me, but it's very difficult to apply that to the pain that's actually received if you do the behavior. And
Yes.
One crazy example is I have twin brothers, right?
Oh, cool.
When they were young, one of them burned his hand on the stove, on the wood stove. Just burned his hand.
Okay.
And the other twin
Did the same thing?
he saw his brother, and then the brother was crying, and the other twin was like, "Dad, Arthur put his hand on the stove and he burned himself. He was." And the other twin burned his hand too.
Well, hey, they're not called twins if they don't do that,
I
right?
mean, it was just
You gotta be the
the
same.
craziest thing because he saw one right there. He's next to him, burn his hand,
Yeah.
start crying,
Now he knows.
and then he has to. He wants to show it, but he can just tell you he put his hand there. No, he has to do the actual thing and burn his hand.
But see, now he's not going to do it again.
Exactly.
Because he knows what it feels like.
Exactly. And then sometimes, even if you have all of what you need from someone else and to not make the mistakes,
Yeah, you got to do it
someti-
yourself.
sometimes you got to do what you got to do
Yeah.
and make the mistakes.
Yes. You know, what I've noticed about myself is not only do I not learn from other people's mistakes and I have to make the mistake myself, but oftentimes I have to make the mistake twice.
Oh yeah, a few times.
You know?
A few-
And that's why I always say, I'm like, yeah, I think I'm just slower than the average person. I don't know.
I have 2 neurons and they're working overtime.
Exactly.
Oh, what have you mentioned Tony Robbins a lot. What have you read lately that you liked?
Oh my God, Tony. Whew. So remember I told you earlier that in 2022 I had a seizure out of nowhere and stuff like that. It was I had I was part of a mastermind, Sam Ovens. It was about 3 months after the seizure. My wife wanted to go to Detroit for a wedding, and she's like, "Hey babe, is it okay if I go?" Every fiber in me saying don't, because I was scared to be alone. I wouldn't be for 6 months. I wouldn't be able to leave the house. The minute I left the house, I'd have panic attacks, and then I would think that I'm about to have another seizure, and then I would not be able to move. I would not be able to go anywhere.
So the seizure got you to a point where you were so stressed of leaving your house that you thought you would.
Well, what would happen is, so I had a seizure out of nowhere. Just one day, we're walking down Publix and just started feeling dizzy on the ground. Had a seizure.
And so what does that do? Like, it's just you start
Yeah,
shivering.
yeah, exactly. You're completely out. You don't know what's going on. I only knew what was going on about 2 hours later, 3 hours later.
Oh shit.
Yeah, yeah. The seizure only took 10, 15 seconds or whatever, but it shocks your brain so hard. The waves are so hard that you lose memory for a while, and for 2-3 hours, you don't know what the hell is happening, right? So I was at the hospital, whatever, until I came to, and everything everything was pretty foggy and blurry. A couple days later, we go to the doctor, and then they do MRIs, all that, and then the doctor says they found a scratch in your brain, and you're epileptic, meaning you're going to have frequent seizures at any given time. Your 2 feet cannot be on the ground unless you are under adult supervision. You can't swim, you can't drive, you can't do anything. So for me, that meant death sentence. I'm probably going to die. What am I going to do? And then I started spiraling out of control, right?
No kidding.
Exactly. Started spiraling out of control. So because I'm thinking all damn day, all the time, and then I'm anxious all the time, guess what's happening? My physiology is reacting to the emotion. Therefore, I'm starting to feel dizzy. I'm starting to feel this. I'm starting to feel that. And those feelings are reminding me of right before I had a seizure. And I'm like, every time I start feeling dizzy, I'm like, oh shit, I'm about to have a seizure. And then really what happens is I collapse into a panic attack. And then that was all day, every day. I would sleep for 2 hours a day for a month, right? And so she says she wants to leave and go to the wedding. And I'm like, I don't want to stay home by myself. And I'm like, and that same weekend, it was the Sam Ovens Mastermind. It was a virtual mastermind. I'm like, man, I wish there was something virtually that I can do so I can just get my mind off it. Because I got so busy, I almost forgot that all this stuff was happening, because I was so immersed in this mastermind. I go to sleep that night. I dream that Tony Robbins has an event. I can't make this up. I dream that Tony Robbins has an event July 14th to July 17th. If you look it up right now, July 14th, July 17th, 2022, Tony Robbins had a UPW virtual. I wake up, I go to TonyRobbins.com, and I see UPW, Unleash the Power Within, July 14th to July 17th, $495. I'm like, fuck it, I'm buying it.
Let's go.
I'm buying it. That weekend or the weekend after, whatever, I attend the event, and that event changed my life. I literally become a different person. That same event, I committed to his most expensive mentorship. It was like $85,000 a year for it's called Platinum Partnership, where you become part of his mastermind. His most intimate mastermind has almost 500 people, But the experience. So over the following 12 months, I attended 13 Tony Robbins events, virtual and in person. Flew all over the world. I went to Mexico, went to whatever. Life-changing experience.
Kind of follow the event schedule?
Exactly. Well, yeah, because he's got events that are only available to the inner circle. He's got events that are available to the public. So I'm like, I'm going to do all. I'm not going to say no to anything. Again, company was doing $1.5 million a month. And I was like, I've got more money to know what to do with it. I'm going to take care of me.
Good place to put a good 10-20% of it.
Exactly, 100%. I'm like, I'm not gonna, and I was like,
skills.
I'm just gonna do, I'm gonna do that. And it was more of just tapping inside and then figuring out who I am really. And that's when I met the coach. I've been working with her for the last 3.5 years, and my life has completely transformed. But to talk about Tony Robbins, there's not one or two things, there's so much, man. The guy has done so much for me and people around me. It's insane.
It seems that it's a recurring story for him though, that he's done a lot for a lot of people.
Well, first of all, he's been around for a while, right? The guy's been around for 40-something years. He's very intelligent. He's learned from the best. He's learned from Jim Rohn. He's learned from Napoleon Hill. He's where he is today. So we do live events, in person and virtual, and our in-person events are 7-8 hours or whatever. I only speak for 2. The rest is team and all that stuff. By the time we're 2 days done, it's usually 2 days. By the time the 2 days are done, I'm like, I need a week just to rest,
yeah.
right? Our virtual events are usually 3 to 5 hours long. Sometimes we'll do one or two, you know. By the time those are done, I'm like, my God, I need a freaking thing. The guy is what, 70 years old? I can't remember. I think he's late 60s, maybe 70s or something like that,
I don't know.
right?
Maybe can you check how Tony Robbins, how old he is? Because he's been around for a while.
Yeah, yeah. He's got 114 companies. They do over $10 billion in revenue per year. Okay? Now, his coaching business, like the event business, does pretty well. I think he does like about $150 million a year or something like that. But it's like 75% relied on him to stand on stage. His least event is 4 days long, and he's up from like 12 p.m. until like 10 p.m. on his feet at 70 years old, who's been doing it for 45 years.
And also he's what, 7 feet and
Exactly,
350 pounds?
Exactly. 65.
65.
Okay,
Oh.
so 65. I'm half of his age, and after 2 days, I'm like, I'm done. The guy's doing 2 events a freaking month, 3 events a month, and jumping up and down and all that energy and stuff like that, right? And so I truly believe, like when we were talking about money and drive and stuff like that, I truly believe for him, that's his like true mission in life. You know, that's what he really believes in. That's what drives him. Because if it was financial, it's like, all right, well, I've got this company that does 100 million. I've got these other companies that do 10 billion. If I stop this, it'll probably have a big impact, but it's like, I can probably retire and go to Fiji and fuck off for the rest of my life.
After a while,
You know?
The amassing new resources, I don't know if it makes a difference.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. For him, I truly believe it's like he feels that it's his calling. He believes that it's his mission. He may be at some point, you know, at some level, he might even believe that he's a prophet, you know, and that's what drives him. You know what I mean? And for as long as he can do it, I pray to God that He gives him all the power that He can for him to continue what he's doing, because he's impacted many lives.
I mean, the prophet thing. The prophet is a crazy word, but if you think about it, he's kind of preaching.
Yeah, yeah, I would say so.
He's preaching.
I think every single one of us is preaching. You know, you're preaching on this podcast. I'm preaching on this podcast. I think we're all, you know, if you take the definition of prophet, I think we're all little prophets in our own little way. You know.
I mean, it's not the. Yeah, I mean, some have a bigger audience, but I mean that's true.
Yeah.
It's kind of a good way to like. What does greatness means to you?
Being able to live a fulfilled life, being able to. So for me, what drives me is my mission in my personal mission in life is to create a lasting impact. My father built a church in Iraq in 1990. I was supposed to be the first child to be baptized there, but unfortunately, it took a little bit longer to what's it called to be opened. And after 15 years of not being in Iraq, I actually just went and visited last month, and we
Really?
went to that church and visited, and
No way.
it was one of the most emotional feelings ever. I took my wife there. She's never been. We're both from Iraq. She's never been back and visited her grandpa's grave, her grandpa's house, all that stuff. A very emotional experience for us. My dad is 86 years old, great health, but if we're lucky, he'll be around for what, another 5, 10, 15 years?
Yeah.
That church, however, has been providing a place of worship for the last 30-something years, 35 years, right? Beyond his years, when he's gone, that church is always going to provide a place for people to worship. To me, that's a lasting impact. And so when I think of a lasting impact, it's like, what can I do today where many years beyond I'm gone, people's lives will be impacted positively because it's the thing that I built today. So today, the way that I know how to do it is through BJK University, which is building a university that helps people, you know, empower families with skills they can turn into income. 5 years from now, it might be something else. 10 years from now, it might be something else. So for me, greatness is, because that gives me fulfillment. Knowing that I'm impacting someone's life in a positive way, financially, at least today, gives me fulfillment. And if I'm waking up every day, going to sleep, knowing that I've done something towards that mission, that I'm living a fulfilled life, then for me, that's greatness.
Mm. Yeah, the impact of it is I think it's a good way to look at it. And then however big that impact is, if at some point it's not there anymore, or is it gonna be missed? Is it gonna be noticed? Is it gonna be like, cause you know, y- there's there's a restaurant, a sushi place right next to our door, and I would say that that restaurant is great. The chef is great, Jimmy Yototo, and even though it's only one location, a lot of people in the community and the buildings around, they go there, and then every time we do, uh, you're never ill received in that establishment.
Mm.
And if it does close, I think it would be greatly missed by the people that lives around that place.
Yes.
And for me, that's a great restaurant because you have fun when you go, always eat well, and and removing the establishment from reality would be a great loss.
Yes.
And then no matter how, if it's the only this one, or if you have this restaurant everywhere around, I mean, yeah, but sometimes the scale you don't want to have
Sure.
a lot of volume. You want to keep it, manageable. You want to keep it with your team. You want to, but yeah, greatness can take a lot of form, I think.
100%.
Yeah, yeah. It's and then is this something that, do you have kids now?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yes.
Is it something that you'd like to have? You'd like to do?
Yeah. Yeah. My wife and I have been working on it for the last 7 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Is it so? Do you think that you'll be able to make it work? Is it
Well, it's all up to him, man.
is it, well,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. We're going through IVF treatments and stuff like that right now.
How is that? How is that like?
Expensive. But
Like, is it the in vitro type deal, or how?
it's yeah. I mean, if we're looking if we're talking about like specifically how it is, it's where they take a man's sperm and then obviously implant it in a woman's womb and then try to make a baby that way. But as far as like on the macro level, it's very emotionally stressful on the woman, especially. I think deep down, regardless what the Western culture looks like or what it does, deep down, since we were cave people, the man's duties, in his DNA is to go out and to hunt and gather and stuff like that, and the woman's duty is to, to care for children and take care of the household and stuff like that. And obviously, roles have changed over time and stuff like that. And that's awesome. And especially for the woman not to be able to quote unquote fulfill on her duties in today's society is could be very stressful. And so I know that my wife feels very very stressed.
A lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure. Every time we talk to my mom, so you guys got any news? I'm like, Mom, stop freaking asking. If there's news, I will tell you. But it's like like we'll get the odd question of like, hey, so what's going on? Like, why haven't you guys have any kids? Like, well, I don't know. Why haven't we had any kids? You know what I mean? That said, I do believe in that everything happens for a reason. When my restaurant burned down 10 years ago, it was about a month and a half or 2 months after we had just renovated, hired a consultant, increased revenue by like 60%, and things were actually starting to look up after 2.5 years of struggle. And when it happened, I was like, God, why now? Like, what are you doing? Why? But then now when I look back, I'm like, okay, got it. Well, if that didn't happen, I wouldn't be here.
The chapter needed to stop then.
Exactly. I needed to stop that chapter and start a new one. So
Yeah.
that makes sense. So when this is happening, it's like, all right, well, a couple of reasons. Maybe we're not meant to have our own children. What if we're meant to help others have children or something like that, And so one thing that we have done is we have a charity, a foundation, and its purpose has been until now to like mainly focus on education and that kind of stuff. But we recently shifted its focus to help couples conceive. And so what I want to do in the future is over time, obviously evolve it, but I essentially want to have our own labs where we pay for research and actually fund research to figure out what is happening with infertility. Why is that even a thing, right? Because if you look back to whatever 100 years or whatever, it wasn't like this. It was the percentages weren't what they are today.
The sperm count is dropping dramatically since
Well, I mean,
the.
all that. I don't have
There's a lot of.
I don't have full understanding
There's
of
a
the
lot
whole
going
thing.
on. Seems like.
Exactly. So I want to be able to fund and create our own labs or fund labs that actually look into this and like go up, because like things like IVF and all that, they're just treating the symptom. They're not going upstream and figuring out what is the problem. So it's like, can we go upstream and figure out exactly what is happening? Things like that. Maybe, fund IVF treatments for couples that can't conceive. And, obviously we've been blessed to be able to afford it, but others can't. Like the opportunity is available to them, but it's like, dude, I don't have, like, it costs between $15,000 to $25,000 a cycle. A couple friends of ours went through surrogacy, and that cost them like 150 grand to go from end to end, find a surrogate, all that stuff. Their first one was, she miscarried, and it's like all this emotional roller coaster that you go through, so stuff like this, so it's like, for me, since I was a little kid, I was a big believer in two things: that a man's duty is supposed to create wealth and bear children and kind of create the next generation.
So
Those were
So you listened very well in your Christian Catholic
Yes.
Sunday school.
exactly. So for me, those two things were like, that's what a man is supposed to do, right? I've been blessed to be able to accomplish one. The next one, I'm having problems. But that said, I'm like, all right, well, if that's the case, that's the case. Maybe God has a bigger mission for me.
Or
I'm not supposed to have
or
my
maybe
own.
it's not the time.
Or it's not the time, exactly. Or that's the other thing. It's like, maybe it's not the time. Maybe when I'm 60, I'll have that. I don't know, keeping all options open, not stressing over it, trying to support my wife as much as possible, because I feel like she gets the shorter end of this, because I feel like as much as I'm like, yeah, I want kids and stuff like that, I don't think because I kind of have the thing that creates fulfillment in my life. I have my work that creates fulfillment in my life. Her thing is like, that's her goal in life, is to bear children, care for children, and so on. And so it's like, okay, if we can't do it, how can I emotionally support and be there, and make sure my mom doesn't ask about it every time I talk to her.
What's your thought on adoptions?
All options are open. All options are open right now. We have 2 healthy and frozen embryos. So we, because we went, the goal was, okay, we'll go through IVF, we'll get some embryos, and then we'll go into transfer.
Yeah.
So next year we'll probably go for transfer. Obviously, the goal is that at least we'll have 1 live birth. We've already given them names. We got 2 boys. So that's the next step for us. If that doesn't work, there's always let's go back to IVF, or let's go either to adoption or surrogacy. So there's always those options. Again, it's not like, oh, we can't have kids, that's it, it's done. It's just that it's been a longer process than what we've liked it to be.
Yeah.
Simply because it comes with a lot of emotion. It's not a logical thing. It's not a business decision where it's like, do I invest in this mastermind or that mastermind? You know what I mean? And then every time it happens, like, we got to take a couple months breaks, and then sometimes things happen at work, or sometimes happen this, and it's like we got to pause it, and we got to travel, and we got to this. Or sometimes, my wife's just exhausted. She's like, dude, I just emotionally and just mentally, I just can't deal with this right now. I'm just burnt out. Like, okay, cool, got it. No worries. So, yeah, that's kind of where we're at. But all options are open.
It's and then that's a funny thing with kids. Is like you see a lot of people that it seems like it's the biggest burden that they had, and then they didn't want them at the first place, and then you see other people that are struggling to even they want to, and then it's just sometimes it's not going the way you want.
Everything happens for a reason, man. There is a reason for everything. Sometimes we don't understand what and why, but it all makes sense at some point.
After a while, you have to look at it that way, because otherwise you're just gonna spiral out of control.
Yes.
Realizing that you don't have control over the exterior world, it's an important one, because what you control is how you react, is your action. except for that, it's very, very limited.
Yes.
It's very, very limited.
Yeah, I used to think that I have a lot more control than I actually do until I realized that I don't. And I talk about it with my therapist a lot. It's one of the biggest reasons why the thing that happened with my health took such a toll on me, because I've lost millions of dollars in business, and deals that went wrong, or partnerships and whatever. I've been in jail a couple times. Not to sound all cool and stuff. It was a couple minor things. It was a DUI and so on else. But when I say it like that, it sounds cooler than what it actually is. So it's like none of those actually took that much of a mental and emotional toll on me like it did with the health thing, because all these other things, they were physical things that I can control, that I can see. The health thing was like, you have this scratch in your brain, like, what the fuck does that even mean?
What did I do to get that?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I thought I was doing everything right. I thought I was exercising, I was doing this, I was doing that. But then now this happened, like, what's going on? And then, like, the feelings that I would get, and I'm like, I don't know what's happening with me right now. I don't see it. I don't feel it. Like, I feel it. I don't see it. I can control it. What's going on, And that's when I realized that, okay, yeah, I have a lot less control than I do. And this was around the same time also that I was doubting my faith. I actually got into Scientology for a little while.
Really?
I started taking courses until my wife showed me some documentaries, and I just freaked out and like left there and never went back.
Did they steal you all your money?
No. But their follow-up game is very good. It's been 3 years. Until today, they follow up with me every now and then, like either letters in the mail, although I've moved to like 4 or 5 different places, calls, although I've blocked like 10 numbers, email, like, bro, their follow-up game is on point. If there's anything one can learn from these guys, their follow-up game, it is on point, But there were a few things that I also learned from them, not giving them a shout out or anything, but, But that's kind of when I started, doubting my faith and all that. And it was after the seizure that actually made me go back even deeper into my faith. And there was a comfort in realizing that there is a bigger force out there that has a lot more control than you have, and that you actually have a lot less control than you think. And then having the thought of, I'm going to do my best, and then I'm going to surrender the rest. Right? Having that thought of like, all right, there's someone watching over me. As long as I show up to life with the best intentions, as long as I don't screw anyone over, as long as I do, everything to the best of my knowledge, there's someone out there watching that's going to kind of like, move things around, and not let really bad juju happen to me. And if every now and then something slips up and comes in, maybe that's a lesson. It's like, shut the fuck up, get back on track. It's more like, it's not bad juju happening. It's him kind of like giving you a little slap on the ear, like, hey, dumbass, stop doing that. You know what I mean?
Just a little.
Exactly.
Little flicker behind the head.
Exactly.
Hey.
Yep. Exactly. So for me, that gives me comfort. Yeah.
And then, so what does it mean to have? You said you lost so you grew up Catholic.
Yes.
And then did you always like? Were you always all in on the story, and and I believe all of that, and then, because you said you switched for Scientology for a little bit.
Yeah, it wasn't a switch. It was more of discovery, like what else is out there, And it wasn't that I lost faith. It was I was doubting it. And so I grew up, I was an altar boy up until I was a teenager. My mom dragged us to school, to church every Sunday. I went to what's it called, to Bible study every Friday. So we did all that, But then I had so many questions that just I had no answers to. And I remember one time I went to church, and I'm sitting in church, and I'm like, what the fuck is he talking about right now? Like, I don't know. It's like, why are we doing all these things? Why are we going through all these prayers? Why are we going, have you hosted a webinar before where you, like, followed slides and stuff like that?
No.
Have you attended one where they hosted, where they followed slides? Okay. Have you ever attended the same webinar where they followed the same exact slides?
No.
Okay, so try to do that once. The first time it's like, oh my God, okay, cool, okay, I get that. The second time it's like, Okay, yeah, I already knew that. The third time. Now imagine doing that for 1,000 times.
They always repeat.
It's like, dude, I've been through the same presentation like a million since I was like 3 years old. Okay, I'm not learning anything anymore. You're trying to tell me that the entire religion is just this? Like, there has to be something else. What I really wanted was like, okay, what I also realized is that I was 30-something years old and I had never actually read the Bible. And that pissed me off. And then I probably approached it in the wrong way of like blaming people instead of taking blame and saying, okay, that's my fault. I should have probably, I'm Christian, I'm Catholic. Like, how the hell do I even call myself a Catholic if I've never even opened the Bible? It's like, well, let's start doing that. And I did. But it's like, okay, Bible study. It's called Bible study. Why the hell were we not studying the Bible? It was, again, the same webinar, different slides, same webinar every Friday for 15 years. It's like, okay, screw all that. Why aren't we studying the Bible? It's called Bible study. Like, sometimes I envy, what's funny was I was actually telling my wife this yesterday or the day before. I'm like, I envy these, sometimes you'll hear people in podcasts or interviews or whatever, where they can state certain verses from the Bible. I'm like, I don't know a single verse that I have actually memorized. And that kind of sucks, it kind of, I feel like shit about it. I'm like, well, that's something I could do something about it, like read the damn Bible, you know what I mean? Yep. But yeah, that was kind of the thing that like pissed me off. And then I started just like, and I was like, is this thing even real? It's like, it's a story that happened 2,000 years ago. Is it real? Does it actually exist? And I think the other thing that I maybe started getting to my head is that not that I am more in control, but like all the stuff that's happened to me, it's because of me. I was making more money than I could ever imagine. My life was going great. We were going to all these fancy places. My relationship with my wife was going great. Everything was going. We were living on the beach, driving a brand new car, everything. Everywhere I went, I had over, 3 million social media followers. Everywhere I went, people were praising me. Oh my God, what you've done, what you've accomplished, blah, blah. Our team was 120 people. Like, holy shit, life is like, oh my God. Every time I talk to my mom, she tells me how proud she is. And that's when I was like, and I think it got to my head, and I was like, maybe part of me thought I don't need him, like, like I'm not here because of you. Do you even fucking exist? I don't know. It's a story. People have believed it for some, whatever crazy reason, And so I started kind of going through that route, and then I was following Grant Cardone for a while, and Grant Cardone, everywhere he fucking goes, he's praising and talking about Scientology. I'm like, well, what the fuck is this thing about? So I there's a place here in, it's like on the way to Coral Gables, right where the 95 ends or whatever. And I had been passing by it, all the time. I was like, just go and see what's going on. And I went and took a couple courses.
So what's the story with Scientology?
So I never went deep because I was there for only maybe like a few weeks, like 3-4 weeks or something. I took like 2, maybe 3 courses. No, I took 2 courses. The third one, I paid $3,500 and I never went back. Because that's when my wife was like, you got to get the fuck out of there. The minute I told my wife about it, she's like, no, hell no. You're not doing that. But to me, so from outside, I think, and again, I know nothing, right? From the little time that I spent there, honestly, what I think, it's a education business, like same business that I have. Education, Tony Robbins. It's an education business that's what it started, like a consulting education, Dave Ramsey, Tony Robbins, Grant Cardone, that had a specific, obviously, methodology that they were teaching, and then they involved church and religion.
Well, yeah, because you get a tax break.
And I think that's why they did that. I was just going to say that. And I think they did that because of that, but I think they took that way too far.
Do you know who's one of the largest landowner in Florida?
Is it them?
It's the Mormon Church.
Mormon Church, yeah. So I think, because when I went in, I'm like, dude, this is like a course business. This is an education business. Because you go in, it's like, all right, here are all the routes. There's business, there's finance, there's relationships. Which one do you want? I chose business. Okay, well, here is, what topics do you want to learn in business? Do you want to learn accounting? Do you want to learn this? Do you want to learn that? I'm like, well, shit, it looks like my business, like what I'm doing right now. It looks like if you were to go to Grant Cardone. It looks like if you go to Dave Ramsey. It looks like all these guys. And then the thing that starts getting weird, it's like the whole clear thing, like to become clear and all that stuff. That's like in the back. And then there's an altar. So in the building there's an altar. I'm like, what is that? And
So
then I
the
go in and
clear
it's a
thing
church.
is not the thing to go through the airport faster. It's not the same
No, it's not. No, it has nothing to do with that. And then so there's like the actual church and there's an altar, and I'm like, when are the services? I want to attend. And then they like kept on trying to push me away from that, because I think they only open that door for you once you are kind of a little bit more invested in the front end. Like I think their stuff is like the front end is, I think what's happened over time evolved to the front end is the education and the back end is the religion, right? And I think, and again, I don't want to speak badly about them or anything. Please don't come follow me and like try to assassinate me or anything. But I didn't go deep enough to know what's going on. But I think it started as an education business. It went to the whole religion thing so that way they can get a tax break. But I think they got a little too crazy and went a little too much that way. And then that's when like the criticism started coming out. And then instead of taking feedback and then saying, okay, let's improve, they chose the silencing route, right? And that's where the craziness happened and it blew out of control, you know? Again, don't know a whole lot. That's what I kind of doing a little bit of like observation from outside. People like Grant Cardone swear by it, you know? He says it's the best thing that's ever happened to him. Obviously, we know celebrities like Tom Cruise. He's still a Scientologist. There's people like John Travolta, who was Scientologist, and he came out. There's this other lady that did a documentary about it. She was an actress, I think, and then she was a Scientologist and came out and did a whole there's a big documentary about it. But that's kind of what I've been able to accomplish. But again, the couple courses that I took, very valuable, you know?
It's interesting that you said you kind of rediscovered your faith lately.
Yeah.
There's one thing that Jordan Peterson said that struck with me a couple, maybe 2-3 years ago. I don't know when he said that even if you don't, if you don't believe, like in God or whatever, if you would probably have a better life if you assume that it's real and you live by, like, say, the 10 Commandments instead of doing the opposite.
Sure.
Like if you steal, lie, sleep with your friend's wife, kill, you're gonna have a arguably worse life than if you do the other side of it. If you try to live truthfully and peacefully and you're trying to do your best and you're trying to bring value and you're trying to improve, and I mean if you're most likely going to have a better trajectory and better and most fulfilled life if you actually try
Exactly.
in living a good one.
I think what religion does is it provides guardrails, you know? Like when people talk about culture, when people talk about, you know, societal norms or abnorms or whatever, and religion and all that stuff, I think what they do is they provide guardrails, you know? I think where for me it becomes a little weird and becomes a little wonky is where people, instead of it being guardrails,
If you say kill all of the infidels, let's start there.
well, I mean, yeah, sure, that. But I think it's when I went into business, my whole thing was freedom, right?
Yeah.
I want freedom, you know? And because I realized that I am unemployable, you know, I can't have a boss, you know? Like I can't have someone tell me what to do. It just won't work, you know? It's very difficult. And so when a religion becomes you either do it like this or you go to hell. It's like, well, actually, you know, like, look, I believe 100%, but I don't know about that. You know, now maybe there will come a time where I will have to find out myself.
And also, who are you to tell me
Exactly
what to do?
Exactly.
Right?
It's like if you know, and again, you know, someone will say, well, really, is your belief that strong then? Because if you believed, you would follow. It's like, well, maybe my belief isn't strong. I don't know. But like, for example, when Christians say that the only way is through Christ, I have a problem with that. again, I'm a Christian, I'm Catholic, I do believe that I believe, right? I think I believe, but maybe my belief is not 100%, maybe it's 70%. I don't know. With that, I have a problem. You know, I'm like, well, I just don't know. I'm just not so sure.
Only Sith speaks in absolute.
What was that?
I said only Sith speaks in absolute.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Remember in Star Wars?
Yeah, for sure. So that's kind of like, that's the kind of Christian I am. You know, and again, some other Christians might disagree with me and say, no, but if you believed, that's the only way. It's like, okay, cool, great, that's awesome. Can we coexist somehow? You know?
And then but then, so what? So because you believe because you believe in the greater power, and because you believe that the values and the morals are worth it, you have to put your critical thinking on the back seat, and you have to
that's what I'm saying.
follow everyone.
And you know, if you think of the biggest innovations that have happened in the world, the biggest revolutions, the biggest everything, it happened because someone questioned the status quo.
Yeah, and someone was like, "No, I think you're all wrong."
Yeah.
I mean, yes, at some point, you're gonna have a different point of view,
Yes.
and then that's gonna be the one.
Yes.
And then, yeah, it's just.
At the end of the day, we don't know. This might be all simulation. God knows. I don't know.
It probably is.
But see, that's kind of what I was talking about earlier. For me, it gives me a peace of mind to know that there's a greater power out there that I can surrender to, especially after I realize that I don't have as much control as I actually thought I did, because it's pretty scary. You know, when you realize that, like, I actually can't control everything, it gets pretty scary. And then if you think you're the only one out there, then it's like, well, holy shit. You know, it's like you're the Atlas. You've got the entire world's freaking thing on top of you, and it's like, well, you can't carry all that weight.
No.
Well, how do I, like, can I just kind of scoop it over to the side? It's like, yeah, sure, you can, because there's someone out there looking out for you. So for me, that belief serves me well. Having the like the 10 Commandments or whatever, they serve as guardrails, where for me, those create my values in life, where it's like, all right, there is something, like, for example, cheating on my wife. I just won't do it. It's just something that it's like, I won't do. Why? Because two reasons.
I don't want to lie to her.
Well, that as well, but I did that in high school. I had a girlfriend and I cheated on her. My God, was it a lot of work. Number one.
How did that work out for you?
Not very well. Now we're not together anymore.
Did you
right?
find out at some point?
Yeah. And that's not, you know. And so for me, it was like right after that relationship, I was like, if I ever and I was a player, you know, did whatever I did, whatever teenagers do. And for me, I made a promise then. I said, if I ever get into a relationship, I will only do it when I know for sure 100% I will never cheat, right? So when I got into the next relationship, although that wasn't the one, did not cheat. Then I met my wife, and we've been together for 10 and a half years now, never cheated on her. And so for me, it's like, okay, that serves as one of my principles, one of my values in life. I won't cheat. I just won't. I don't care what's going on. I don't care what's happening. I don't care what happens. That's just one thing I won't do, right? For example, I won't kill. Well, maybe that's not true.
Well,
I will
don't
actually,
say that too fast, 'cause I may.
Yeah, no, that's not true.
If
I
you
won't.
come at me, I may have to defend myself.
Exactly.
And
So
then
in that situation, yes.
things happen.
But in a situation where I'll just pull out a gun and just go shoot someone for the hell of it, it's like,
No.
okay, I won't do that. You know?
But speaking of which, did you see the reports that apparently there was sniper tourism in Sarajevo,
Where's
where in Kosovo, in the Kosovo War, Sarajevo?
Don't know where that is.
Okay, so I've seen that there was tourism where they would organize people going on a safari where you would shoot civilians.
What?
Yes. I've seen that. I've seen videos pop on X of this in the last. Yes, I'm serious.
So you're a tourist, you'd go to that country, and you'd be able to kill civilians.
Uh-huh.
And I'm assuming they're residents of that country?
I have no fucking idea.
Wow, that's interesting.
That's
Well, that's an interesting tourism attraction.
that is the crazy. That's
an interesting tourism
I
attraction.
mean, Yeah, yeah.
I've seen,
There
shooting
there
guns and
are
stuff like
sick
that,
people out there
like
though.
in Vegas and all that, shooting out of planes and
Yeah,
tanks
but
and
you're
all
not
that.
shooting
At someone.
live
Yeah, yeah.
one.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. Okay.
That's anyway.
That's an interesting one.
So I won't
Yeah,
do
that
that.
that I won't do. Yeah, that I won't do. If that's what you were trying to get to, that I
this
won't do.
safari we won't do.
Yeah, that I won't do.
You were
Yeah.
having something to Sarajevo, yeah. So
Kosovo, I think so.
yeah, so
Kosovo.
so Sarajevo tourism and sniper. Yeah, exactly. Rich sniper tourist allegedly paid 90K to shoot civilian, including kids, during human safari trip in Sarajevo.
Including kids?
Look at this.
Wow. Well,
Am I crazy? That's not the type of tourism.
yeah, no, that's
Holy shit! How sick do you have to be?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
anyway,
just nuts.
that's just nuts.
Yeah.
Ah, do you hunt at all or no?
Not really, man. I don't know. As a kid, I never did any like manly guy things. You know what I mean? Again, no video games, no sports, no hunting. I never hunted. We've gone to shooting ranges a few times, but that's about it. Haven't done the traditional guy stuff. I guess. We did the partying, did a lot of that, but never the other stuff.
Do you still party though?
No. That's my wife's and I's party now is going to a nice restaurant, spending 2-3 hours, having nice dinners. That's the thing that I look forward to. That's the stuff. I don't like traveling much, so I've never traveled overseas. I've been in America for 20 years. In the last 20 years, I've only gone, overseas, because Mexico's not overseas. We've only gone to one overseas trip, which was last month, back to Iraq to visit. But in 20 years, never been to overseas. I've only been outside of America. I've only been to Mexico, like 3 times maybe, like Cancun, that kind of Los Cabos. So haven't done a whole lot of traveling in my life, and don't enjoy the travel itself. What I do enjoy is great experiences. So dinner experiences. I enjoy live concerts. I enjoy anything live. Like we went and watched our first ever soccer game. Inter Miami was playing, Messi was playing. That was an awesome experience. We spent a couple hours there. I enjoy stuff like this.
Live thing is nicer.
Yeah. So like we'll do like comedy shows, we'll do concerts, we'll do, I'm starting to get my wife to do sports stuff, not because we enjoy the sports stuff, it's more because I enjoy the environment. Let's see what else. But that and like nice dinners. Like in the last 4 years that we've been in Miami, we've probably spent over $200,000, and we've been to close to probably about 300 restaurants right now. Our list of top places is 49 places.
Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah.
What's your top 5?
What cuisine?
Oh, that's okay. So then, yeah, open-minded. Yeah.
So if we're talking steak, I'll have to take Mastro's, Dirty French, and there is the new place that just opened up called March and Ash, I think. It's in Brickell. It's a new the Brickell Center or whatever, the World Center.
Yeah.
If we're talking Asian, we like a lot of Asian. So Zuma is nice. Nabokov is nice. Mila, we like Mila.
Mila is nice.
Mila's nice. And then there's another place called Omasaka, I think. It's in Brickell somewhere. And then we like Mediterranean as well. There's a place called Motek.
Yeah, Motek.
They have a bunch of them right now.
Yes.
That's one of our favorite places. It's not the fanciest. It's pretty casual, but their food is really good.
Yeah.
Really good. Yeah.
It's good food.
Yeah.
What's your then? Oh, so I was gonna ask what's your favorite meal, but you only eat one, so it's the one
Yeah.
is
It's just once. Yeah. But I will take kebab from Iraq all day, every day.
Really?
Dude, so we've always known that kebab from Iraq is different.
How so?
But we've been to America for 20 years and we tried different kebabs, and then we just now went back to Iraq. I I don't even know how to compare it. It's the way the texture, it's the flavor.
And then, so the kebab, what is it exactly?
It's
Is
it's
is
the ground beef,
the-
ground beef. Yeah, it's the skewer, you know.
Yeah.
But it's not the chunks. It's the one piece, right?
Yeah.
Ground beef. Yeah. Um, First, the flavor is different. Secondly, the thing that I noticed about kebab here, it's thick, so you have to like cut it. Kebab there, you put your knife through it, it all breaks, right? And they do a lot more fat content than what's so like here. I think they probably do like 15, like 85-15 or 80-20. There they do more like 60-40, 70-30. So a lot more fat. It's just I don't know. The
taste
flavor
is
is just
different, yeah.
insane. I mean, every day we were there for 5 days. Every day we ate kebab. It's just it's a different. It's some different.
Well, I mean, it's when we go to Mexico. There's Have you been to Puerto Vallarta?
We have, yeah.
It's one of the nicest sunset that I've ever seen in my life.
Nice.
There. Yeah, yeah. And there's a tiny taco stand in the downtown in Puerto Vallarta. Every time we're there, I eat. This is my thing.
Tacos. Yeah.
I eat 10 peso tacos. We'll have a couple 6 to 9 tacos.
Well, you
Boom,
know,
boom.
if you ever because I lived in San Diego for 14 years, and then Mexico was across the border.
Yeah.
The second best Mexican food is in San Diego. We have some bomb Mexican food in San Diego. Tacos, burritos.
I
all
went
that.
for the first time in California and San Diego last year.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Where'd you guys
Yeah.
go?
So we stayed in San Diego for a few days. Then we went to in the desert, close to Palm Spring. What's the place? Tree something, whatever. The Joshua trees. Yeah.
Palm Springs is nice. Yeah, Palm Springs is awesome. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's California. I mean, everyone's leaving. In the last 3 to 5 years, they've had the first time where they had more people leave than people actually come in. Yeah.
We were in the desert for the super moon. I think was that the I we were in the desert, and then the moon came up, and dude, it was the biggest moon that I've. It was like
Really?
freaking, and it was crazy because, you know, on the west coast there's ocean, and then it was looking like you we kind of seen like out of space a little bit, because there was no light. Yeah, there was no light, and like the ozone, it looked a little like it looked like
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. It's mostly. I don't know about clear because it's dusty all the time. Yeah, you know. But yeah, I mean, not a whole lot of pollution because there's not a whole lot of manufacturing and stuff like that. You know, if there's like oil refineries which are like more in the south versus like where we are in the north and the center. But yeah, it's very dusty, very dusty. Yeah.
huh. No, yes, because it's like there was a layer less. It's like you had one less layer of reality, and then you kind of saw it was weird. It was you kind of saw like through space a little.
Sure.
It was cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was fun.
That's awesome.
It
Yeah,
was
Palm
fun.
Springs is nice. Did you guys go on the sky ride that goes from the city up to the mountain?
No,
Oh, really? Oh, that's a cool experience. Yeah. Next time you guys go, definitely got to check it out. And if you go in the winter, it actually snows up there. So it's super cool. You can, like,
Oh,
see the
really?
snow and all that. Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. 2021. Yeah, so we left, came here. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we're there for 14 years. So my wife was there 20 years. I was there for 14 years. Yeah, yeah. Just after COVID, it just got too crazy, crazy policies and homelessness everywhere, closed, and just
But that's why
needed some change.
I left Canada as well.
Uh-huh.
I couldn't stay in a place where all of a sudden I can't leave my house.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, thank you.
That was I remember telling my wife, because it got so crazy to a point where they were talking about like these passports and all that kind of stuff,
Oh, yeah, we
for vaccines.
We had that.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, I'm not getting vaccinated. If it ever gets to the point where the U.S. makes that, I'm like, that would be probably the only reason I would renounce my citizenship. I'm like, I'll go back to Iraq. Don't care.
Yeah.
My business isn't gonna get affected. But California really, really pushed it. I mean, you could see even until now, they're struggling with everything. And that's when we're like, all right, probably time to get the fuck out of here.
In Quebec, they tried to mandate the vaccine passport for you to go at the grocery store.
Yeah, it was restaurants, it was grocery stores. I mean, same thing here. That was the plan, Can you imagine if that actually did happen?
We had the vaccine passport mandated for all public place, restaurant, most of the jobs.
Oh, really?
Yep. But they tried to push it a little further in the sense that you would have to show your vaccine passport to go inside the grocery store and the pharmacy.
Do they still have it now, or are they?
No.
They're
So the calm down a little bit, but I mean the real if you look at government the real problem in my view is government spending. The spending is the first, because then they're gonna intervene, then they require new programs, then spending, then you need people to manage the program, then you found out that, oh my God, the new rules, new program, whatever, it does not really do exactly how it was intended to. There's externalities, then those externalities require new spending, new program, new management, and then at some point you have more bureaucrats that are just taking space, and then you can't move.
I love the democratic kind of system of like every 4 years, and I'm not sure how it is in Canada if it's the same or not. The one downside that this has is because someone is in there, because I believe that 4 years is a very short time, obviously, unless you get reelected. The problem is everyone comes in with promises and goals and aspirations and all this stuff, and then obviously they're not able to do all of it, but they'll try to do some of it, and then they come in, they're like, I've got 4 years and I'm going to try to do everything I can to do this. But then the problem is all the stuff that they're going to implement comes with a bunch of baggage that they don't have time to clean up, because the next guy comes in and then he just tries to add. And then because it's a government, they think that they have infinite amount of money to spend, which they don't. And then they just get overbloated, and then the next guy and the next guy and the next guy and the next guy, and then they never get to a point to like clean up, like love them or hate them, whatever. But like one thing that I think this administration is doing, decently well is I think it's a thing that they just rolled out, which is for every new for every new like piece of legislation or a piece of new law or something like that they put out, they have to remove 10 previous ones. So that way you're not stacking. Because I experience it in our business. It's like we come up with let's say a new comp structure for the sales team or for affiliates or whatever. And then it's like, well, this adds on top of that. Okay, so now our finance team has to make sure that they fulfill this and they fulfill. Okay, so now 6 months later, our sales director learns something at a mastermind. It's like, oh my God, this is cool. I want to add this. Okay, I want to add this new bonus. All right, so now it stacks on top of this and that. Okay. And then he reads a book, and he's like, Alex Harmozy said, I got to do this. Okay. And he stacks on top of this and that, and that's like, dude, but like, well, it's not about just overcomplicated. You're giving away like 60% of the house. You know, like, how are we going to freaking pay our bills? It's like, all right, well, can we just like remove all this? Let's build this new plan and then say, okay, this is what it is, right? And no one has the wherewithal or the mental intelligence to say, how much are we spending here? Like, where's this money coming from? Who's going to fund 50, 100 years from now? Like, no, everyone is just, all right, I made some promises. I'm here for 4 or 5 years. I got to do everything. Go, add, you know?
That's the thing. That's the thing with when you try to centralize decision making and power is that you can't have all of the information and all of the know-how, and you just can't. It's just too complicated. Life is too complicated. The industries are too complex, and you don't know what you don't know.
Yes.
So when you move and you think you know, and then, like my uncle, he was a foreman for a company. He used to build like very big projects, cement plant, airports, things like that. And he told me, you know, that when there's public when there's like public bids for the airports.
Yep.
He was saying like they made a mistake in the plans, in where the there was a like a chain where, you know, those what's it called, those like elevator where
Escalator?
like escalator
Yeah.
where it moves stuff on like on the chain, and then it goes here.
Yeah.
So they had one where it would go up like this, and then for the baggage.
Oh, yeah, like the conveyor belt or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. And then they noticed that when they did the plan, they didn't allow enough space for the baggage,
Yeah.
and then to move here. It was too tight, and then the load would not be able to pass, right?
Okay.
But then they didn't correct it right away.
They just built it anyways.
So what happened is that they noticed the mistake, then they were able to quote this amount for the work, but then they knew that when they were actually going to build it, then it would not work. Then it would have all of these extras because of the problem,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But it was millions of dollars, and then they didn't tell anybody that it was gonna be a
More
problem.
work, more revenue for them, right?
Exactly, because you do the thing. Oh no, it doesn't work. We have to deconstruct it and then build it back the right way, and then that costs you a lot.
Yep.
That costs you a lot, and it's just crazy, a crazy thing that you don't know what you don't know, and then when even in the USSR, when the Berlin Wall fell, I read Basic Economics with Thomas Sowell, and he was giving a few examples in there where you had Russian economists that were saying that when they tried to make decisions, the number of things that they had to consider was not really possible, and then they couldn't know exactly how the impact of the decision was going to play out, and then that was one of the reasons why it kind of fell apart because it doesn't work. There's too many things to consider.
For sure.
There's too many things to consider, and when you try to centralize, and when you try to, you can't. That's the thing. You can't know it all.
Well, I think it also has a lot to do with control, right? Because everyone wants to control everything, you know. And it's and I think in nature, all of us humans have little. We're all control freaks in one way or another, you know. Some of us may be less or more than others, and some of us have become little less control freaks than before because we realized, okay, we're not in control, and if we try to control everything, you control nothing. But I think governments in general, they just want to control, you know. If you look at history in general, and as much as you can go back, governments have always tried to control its citizens because deep down somehow some crazy thought came about and that said, if you control your citizens, then you can get them to do whatever you want, and if you get them to do whatever you want, then obviously you're gonna be able to live the life that you desire or whatever. Because sometimes, like, I ask myself, and I say, somewhat like successful entrepreneurs, for example, so let's take Donald Trump. After everything he's accomplished, why put yourself through all that and try to become president? Like, why? Now, here's the thing. I voted for the guy, so this is not to diss the guy or anything, but it's like, why? Was there part of it where I want to prove everybody that I can also do this? Was it maybe like he wanted more challenges in life? Like, it's like, all right, I've mastered business, I've mastered media, I've mastered this. Now I want to master, politics. Was there some deep down, desire of control? And I truly believe there's a lot of that and a lot of these guys. Because, like, the minute that you say, I'm running for office, any office, you're putting yourself in. I mean, they're going to dig into every single thing that you've ever done in your life and take it out of context and just throw it all in your face, right? Now, obviously, he's done a great job at, like, just taking it all and be like, okay, whatever, and then just move on. Because he's like the biggest troll of all trolls, right?
Yes.
So it's like, it's his personality where it's like, dude, I do this for a living. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. But I think deep down there is a little piece of like, I want to be in control, and it's like, well, what's the best, more powerful, more controlling?
But the control aspect is a real one. Have you read Atlas Shrugged?
I have been recommended that book by many people, but I have not read it yet.
Please read it.
Mm.
Please read it. And please read it because the fiction in that story is so close to reality. It's mind-boggling.
What's it about?
About trains.
Okay.
It's about it's about the national railroads, and it's the best depiction of human nature that I've ever seen.
Mm.
And one part in there is Ayn Rand. She says, "Do you think that we want people to follow the rules, the laws, that the ever increasing amount of laws and rules and regulation? Do you think really that the goal is for people to follow it, to follow all of the rules? No. The goal is to lay out traps so we can use the leverage whenever we want. Because at some point, you're going to break one of them.
Yes.
And part of Canada not so long ago was illegal to go in the woods, to go outside, because there was fire. And then if you're going for a walk in the woods, you're going to create fire. We all know that's how it works.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Mm-hmm. And then it's leverage. It's control. It's.
Well, I mean, leverage is, speaking of books, have you read The Art of the Deal?
Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing he talks about there is always have leverage in deal making, right? Because when you have leverage, you obviously are able to negotiate better deals for yourself, for your company, for your country. So there is that. So I don't know. I wouldn't view leverage as a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing.
I guess
you have to be careful.
In what context it's being used, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and what's the intention behind it?
And also, you said you mentioned Warren Buffett a couple of times. He said you have to be careful with a few things: women, liquor, and leverage.
Yes.
Because then this one, when you like, I don't know if you trade a little bit, but if you do, like sometimes you. But one of the thing with real estate, one of the problem is when you over leverage. There's no more equity. There's no more juice.
Yes.
It's just debt.
Yes.
It's.
Yes.
And then if the thing don't go exactly how you planned, then you get wiped out.
Yes. Well, I mean that happened to many people, right? Especially 2008. There was I don't know what I saw recently. Someone from our team was saying that there's some bank that's giving out loans like up to $15,000 or $25,000 for new beginner entrepreneurs. As long as you have an LLC, you could get a loan. They don't even look at tax. They don't look at. I think he said they don't look at credit score. Neither do they look at like debt to income ratio. As long as you're starting a new business, they give you a loan. And I'm like,
That don't make any sense.
That's not good. I know as a beginner entrepreneur, you're like, hell yeah, but it's like from a macro economy,
but
Bashar,
like,
that's not good.
It's called a student loan. It's basically it. It's basically the same thing. You don't have to prove nothing. You just because you enrolled there, okay. The cost is what, 60 grand. We'll give you 60 grand. We'll give you another 60 next year. But then, how are you gonna pay for? How are you gonna pay for that? What kind of value? What kind of value is that going to create for you? I don't know.
What was the stat? I think it was like 57% or so of college graduates don't have a job that has anything to do with the degree they got from school.
Yeah.
And that was one of the biggest reasons why, like, when I first started BJK University, the mission in the first year was to disrupt the traditional education system, right? Because my mom wanted me to become a doctor. And my sister was a lawyer. She wanted this lawyer and a doctor in the house so she can brag about it to her friends and all that,
Also, personal interest.
Yeah, for sure.
You get in
for
trouble.
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
You have a lawyer. Maybe
for sure,
feel sick a little bit.
100%. But then as I started going to school, it's like, you could major in whatever you want, so that way you can get your credits and then go to school. I'm like, what? It's like, yeah, you could major in philosophy if you want. I'm like, what does that have anything to do with me becoming a doctor? It's like, yeah, it doesn't matter. You just need to have a bachelor's degree. I'm like, wait a second. So you're saying that I can study anything just to get a bachelor's degree so I can qualify to go to medical school?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Like, how does that even make sense? So you want me to waste the next 4 years of my life to study something that has nothing to do with the thing that I want to actually do, and it's going to cost me whatever, 20, 30 grand a year, 40 grand a year, so I can get this degree that says I have a bachelor's degree so I can enter your school. Yes. So I can then pay you like 100 grand a year or whatever and study there for the next half decade, and then maybe, hopefully, one day I'll do something that I actually get to enjoy. I'm like, no, fuck no. I'm not doing that. Thanks.
Then you're going to have to do your residency, which is basically going to exploit you in not making any money and serve as a doctor.
So here's the thing. The whole residency thing, like, I don't have as big of a problem with it as this thing that I'm talking about, because it's like you're gaining experience.
True.
It's like, okay, it's not like you're going to become, I don't know, what's a very important job. Let's just say cybersecurity, and you're working with banks or whatever. And so if you make a mistake, people can lose their money. Okay, that's a very important job. Okay, got it. But it's not as important as working on people's bodies. And if you make a mistake, you can kill somebody, right? So it's like, okay, if I need to prove myself or gain experience or whatever for the next couple of years, I understand that, But it's like, at least I'm getting experience in the thing that I'm actually going to do.
Yeah.
But this other one, it's like, oh, no, you can study whatever you want, as long as you get a bachelor's degree. Like, what? What are you talking about right now? It makes zero sense.
Yeah. Some of the
by the way, are we gonna wrap up soon? Because I have a meeting.
Yeah,
that I gotta
we
take.
can wrap up right now. I was
Awesome.
about to ask you what's the next phase. What do you see? What do you see your company going? Where do you envision the future? And then yeah.
So, as I mentioned, the mission from day one has been, well, I guess 1 year in, has been to impact 1 million lives by 2030 through empowering families with skills they can turn into income. So right now, we're only about 21,000 lives in, so we got a long road to go. That's the thing that drives us. The skill that we're focused on right now is helping people with AI. Obviously, that's not always going to be the main focus, because 6 years ago was Amazon, then now it's AI. I'm pretty sure the next couple of years is going to be something else. But it's always about what is the next skill that is available today that we can implement and help people improve their financial situation with. Because what I've realized is that, first of all, solving your financial problems is not the most important thing, but it's the first stepping stone into looking at other things. Because, like, for example, when I was $150,000 in debt, if someone came to me and said, hey, bro, we got to work on your mindset. Like, I want you to read this, I want you to read that. I would have told them to go screw themselves. Because I'm like, dude, I'm $150,000 in debt. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Help me, help me fix this thing. How can I make money? And so what I've realized is, that's the first road into providing helping create well-rounded humans. That they're not just successful financially, but they're successful health-wise, they're successful in their relationships, they're successful spiritually. Because I realized that for the first decade of my life, I was just focused on, or decade of my entrepreneurial journey, I was just focused on financial success. And then after I accomplished that, at least at my level, I realized that there is so much more that I don't even know about the world. Like my relationship with my wife was slipping. My relationship with God was that was almost non-existent. My relationship with my body, my health was not there. So I realized, okay, there are all these different pillars that I need to now focus on. But, you can't really focus on that unless you fix your financial problems. So that's kind of the thing. It's like, let's fix people's bank accounts first, and then let's start introducing other things and start helping them fix other problems in their lives. And at the end of the day, it's all about providing value to our clients and solving problems in their lives. And so that's kind of what we're focused on.
Nice. And where can we find your things?
Well, you can just find me on Instagram, Bashar Jacob 2. It's the one that has 2 million followers. There's like half a dozen that are like fake or whatever. That would be probably the best way to find me and learn a little bit more about what we're doing. We're most active there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Bashar, thank you very much.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. This was awesome. Thank you.
Bye.